Ladies and gents, welcome back for your grand finals here at the HSEL VS Gaming event. My name is Helbert, joined by Snare for this final time, kind of the final time of the year, I think.
This actually is it. This is it for South African Dota. It's kind of fitting, right, that you start the year with some of the best teams and you end the year with the up-and-comers. So
I love it. I think this is a truly special event. And as mentioned, there's some magic in the air here. As per usual with Dota 2,
yeah,
we get to see some faces that perhaps we haven't seen before, but are signing their intent forms, saying that they're going to be here around. And I think there's been a lot of players that I've personally never cast before.
Yeah.
I think I've seen some of these guys in pubbies actually. Like I think Powers is familiar to me, but
Powers is the only one that's familiar. But that might be because we might think of Sparkles.
He does have that big Z. So
yeah, it might be Sparkles.
It could be that. But regardless, the point is I would not be surprised at all if we start seeing some of these names in competitions in the future. Like I expect it. And of course, I think both these two sides are truly deserving to win this grand final. I think the gatekeeper was LeBron. How's it said?
Lichbron. Yeah.
Lichbron was certainly the gatekeepers in my mind. Both these sides going through them convincingly.
Yeah.
And accordingly, they are now here in this grand final where may the best team win. I think Grey probably still our favorites. They did win in the round robin stages as well, 2-0. So Parklands probably would love to change the script. I did chat to one of the boys from Parklands. Once again, goes there. A very charming young man. I think the schools have been teaching these kids some good manners, which is fantastic to see. I'm glad it hasn't changed since my day and your day.
Did he start with Sir?
He actually didn't. But he didn't greet me first, so there's that. You know, it wasn't just a hey you.
He's like, hey you, what's up, guy? What are you doing? What do you know about Dota?
But it was actually useful because I got a little bit of insight into what they were thinking, etc. Apparently, in their first matchup, they actually had some technical issues with the comms. They weren't able to really communicate with the captain. So as you can imagine, that is quite significant. So I would certainly not be surprised if this changed the script entirely with Parklands.
Didn't they play against Grey Gaming at the beginning?
Yes, so in the very first matchup when they met, it was 2-0 to Grey, who haven't dropped a single game this tournament so far, so obviously looking very strong. But as I said, they couldn't speak to their captain.
Yeah, which makes a huge difference.
That makes a huge difference. I mean, just being unable to communicate with the guy who's supposed to be telling you what to do is going to really change things up here in the case where you can now do
Now
so.
you can, yeah. And that might explain why they look so clean today. You know, the whole entire team being on the same page. It's interesting that you were saying that you were speaking to them about that because I happened to walk past the Grey Gaming team as they were on their way to take their seats and they were discussing what they want to do. And I don't know who it was on the team and I haven't learned their faces yet, but one of them was like, make sure we pick Wisp. Just do that, let's pick Wisp and we'll be fine. And somehow the Wisp gets through. They do get it. We saw Wisp earlier today with Bristleback, but this time it's just going to be probably Wisp Gyrocopter, I believe, that they ran this last time.
Let's see what it is. Very simple. It doesn't necessarily mean it won't be Gyrocopter, but that is a very interesting duo that they picked up. They actually look a lot like they're trying to emulate the performance of the likes of OG with their selections. A lot of damage mitigation. I obviously sustain that he's bringing to the table as well. So between these two heroes, they are quite challenging to bring down. And I think we saw as well with the Spectre in their previous matchup, they're really big on bringing these heroes to the party that either are very tanky, hard to take down, and provide, I would say, an extended team fight over the more kind of nukey kind of stuff that we're actually seeing come out from Parklands. So the Skywrath Mage, for example, it really does rely on being able to burst somebody down very quickly. Obviously, the silence, etc., are very useful, but against Centaur Warrunner, you're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, this game, Centaur is almost certainly going to be rushing pipe. You might even opt to just skip the Vanguard entirely or to get the pipe out as soon as humanly possible. With iOS backup, you've got a ton of regen for days effectively and a lot of more damage mitigation. You're going to have Stampede as well. It's going to help you out if somebody does find themselves caught inside the Skywrath Mage Ultimate. And even as this game starts to scale later and later, we already saw in the previous series where we saw IO being picked up that Skywrath Mage doesn't always have the easiest time bursting heroes down that have high mobility, and IO has some of the highest for the support heroes. And also this game, I'm not seeing how they, thus far at the very least, how Parklands take fights yet off of Grey Gaming. And this is a very strong lane as well, the IO Centaur lane. It's Centaur by itself is such a good laner already, but with IO, that lane is basically a wash. You have to give it up. You can't really contest there.
Well, so far bans coming as well. We've seen the Stark being a popular pick this event.
Yeah.
But also banned out here. The CK is an interesting one for me.
Yeah, we haven't actually seen a CK banned at all. Have we seen CK this entire weekend? Banned or picked?
No, I don't believe so. So the first one, at least in my memory, and additionally, it's notable that a lot of the tankier kind of heroes being banned up by Green. So I think they're trying to get a monopoly on a team that can fight for long durations.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where they're going to. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we see other kind of tanky heroes coming out like this form of maybe like a Spectre. I think the Gyrocopter probably more likely because I do think it works better with the IO and it's still in the... Oh no, I lied. It's just been banned out. So no, not in the pool. So Lifestealer comes out. I like that. Good against Centaur Warrunner. Also happy to have the longer team fight.
Yeah.
Good pick.
And also, like you're mentioning, because they're going to be picking heroes that want to be extending fights, having this Radiance be available will make it a lot more difficult for Grey to dish out the damage. And whatever initiation they pick up on Parkland, what did they play earlier? They played a Park and Quap that we saw earlier today. But whatever style of hero they pick to get into the fights, Lifestealer always happy to follow that up or be part of the delivery vehicle at the beginning. Can immediately burst down one of these squishier heroes. Yeah, and like you mentioned, really good against the Centaur. Normally, the Centaur just completely overruns you in the laning phase. This game's probably still going to have a better time than Lifestealer, especially with IO being able to back him up. But Lifestealer can be left alone to his own devices. Doesn't lose the lane or get like completely shoved out of it.
So anything in particular you'd like to see just in a personal perspective from this matchup?
Earthshaker! That's all I want the whole weekend. Just one Earthshaker game and I'd be so happy.
I've never seen somebody who's as unlucky when it comes to stuff as you. I think back to when we sat upstairs here actually and your comments about the Sven. You didn't want Sven to make it through the drafting phase.
Yep,
every game. Always happened. You finally wanted to get rid of the Winter Wyvern and ended up winning the entire tournament. It doesn't bode well for you there.
No, it was actually really fun. Remember at Comic-Con where every game I predicted, the score went the opposite direction. It was like, well, this is maybe a superpower that I have. If you want to know how the game is going to go, ask me and believe the opposite, and you'll normally be well on track.
Let's see how you do here. What they're going to pick up next?
Great Gaming. I need something for the mid lane. Oh, wait, they should pick Pugna. Pugna would be so good for Great Gaming. Because they're probably going to be playing against the Scareth Mage in the mid lane, unless it's mid Shadow Shaman. But either way, running Pugna against both is pretty fine. Either that or something that's going to rush BKB. I'm actually not sure why they picked Tusk. Because, I don't know, I felt like you could have gotten another hero in terms of initiation. Because now you're really stuck with whatever hero you pick last for the offlane, for your initiator, has to take over the game. Oh, wait, not this is. Remember earlier they played Lifestealer offlane. This is probably offlane Lifestealer, mid lane Scareth Mage, support Shadow Shaman, support Tusk, and then they're still going to get the safe laner later. Yeah, they haven't picked a UIF hero. They can still have space for Spectre actually going down.
Okay, let's see where it goes. That is very interesting, because as you mentioned, you have 3 heroes here that could really be flexibly played around. Tusk, Shadow Shaman, and Scareth all... I'd say less so the Skyrath. I mean, pubby-wise, you could see the mid Skyrath or something, I guess. But it's the Ursa, the Ursa, so absolutely nothing like a Pugna. Sorry, Stay. Do you want to take another go? What are they banning?
What are they banning? Weaver? Just because every team this weekend has been banning Weaver.
That's a fair point, actually. This is the furthest it's got. Normally, this is the stage where they ban it out.
Yeah.
Ironically, I don't think either side really wants a Weaver.
No, not particularly. Like, Parklands could get away with it. Oh, DP, that's a great ban, actually. That would have been a great pick for Grey Gaming. I think Grey Gaming need a hero that can take objectives, so they need a DK or something like that. DP would have probably been the best one, but DK, I think, will do quite happily. I don't think there's another int hero that they want to build up. Maybe if they go Monkey King, they played that yesterday. That's an option that they can get. But then you have 3 melee heroes, and you don't know what their last pick is going to be. They can pick something that just completely gets around that.
Gotta say as well, I'm a little concerned for Parklands because there's a really very powerful lineup coming up against him with a lot of sustain, and they, other than the Lifestealer, really don't do a huge amount of sustained damage. And like the Tusky and Scareth Mage, they both pretty much are going to just burst out with a little bit of damage, and if you don't get a target down with that, and they can still contribute to fight, you really are not going to get the desirable result after that team fight concludes. And with things like the IO and the Warlock on the deck, there's a lot of sustain outside of 2 very tanky heroes in the Ursa and Centaur Warrunner.
It's like you were mentioning earlier, they're trying to get the monopoly on the extended team fights. With Ursa, you have Enrage on Ursa, Centaur having Stampede and just being Centaur, IO with Tether, Warlock with additional heals. So there's almost no way that Parklands can even take these fights quickly. So I'm fully with you that they have a bursty lineup that is not going to be playing into a team that can be bursted.
Additionally, I think as well, I mean, the Lifestealer, I must say, he's really good here. Like, he is the one pick that definitely is going to work out, because like Centaur Warrunner Ursa generally end up with a high HP pool. Obviously, by virtue of being Lifestealer, he goes through that fairly quickly. But I do feel like they probably should look, never mind. I was going to say, one of the problems that Grey Gaming have is they don't have a huge amount of magic damage, but now with the Timbersaw, that changes up quite a bit. They're going to go for the Zeus, so yet again, another bursty hero. I'm not a massive fan of this name.
Zeus is very good against Timbersaw, very good against Centaur.
Oh, sorry, I take it back, because he also has Chain Lightning in his aura, so that's a stupid comment, actually. So he actually does give you quite a bit of consistent damage throughout the fight.
But he can die very easily here. If he gets gone upon, if Simbas was able to get directly on top of Zeus, if Io can relocate on top of the Zeus, if Centaur buys Blink, if Ursa buys Blink, Zeus can find himself getting eviscerated very, very, very quickly. And because of the way that the rest of their draft has worked out, they don't actually have that many tools and options to, either get to him and keep him alive or make sure that the fights take longer. And interestingly enough, this is how they're running this, because UIF earlier on was playing in the safe lane, and he's playing the Zeus right now.
So maybe he's the Zeus player for their side, and therefore he's going to go mid?
But then Zakun mid with the Tusker.
Yeah, I'm guessing that becomes their off laner, and then their safe laner is Chris? It is a very big mix of what they were doing in the past. I mean, the supports have stayed as you would expect, but Jenny does have some questions on exactly where people are laying things. You definitely would not expect to have a safe lane Zeus, as UIF has been playing throughout the tournament. So.
However, though, if he plays Zeus in the safe lane, he's going to be playing into a Centaur. And they can potentially do something where they run the Lifestealer. You run the Lifestealer into the Centaur or Ursa lane, and then you run the Zeus into maybe the Timbersaw or Centaur lane. And normally Ursa can be quite good against the Lifestealer, but at least you just keep the Ursa sort of preoccupied for quite some time. Let's see. Okay, now they're just going to put it mid. Never mind. It's going to be very standard fare. Oh, that's kind of disappointing. An off-lane Tusker. That's not something you see every day, Helbert.
It is really interesting. It must be said as well that this does give you an answer to the Io degree. You can get into the back lines with the snowball and potentially blow up a Io very quickly. But the catch to that is that said Io last time around ended up going for a heart very early on. No boots, just straight into very tanky items. If he does that again, there's a fine chance that he'll find himself in a situation where he cannot burst down the Leonard Io. And when you don't finish the job and you blow that many core abilities onto one support unit, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, it's going to really complicate life for them. Right now, the one thing that I'm interested to see, honestly, once the Tusker, one of the reasons I imagine that they put him on a core hero is to make sure that he gets to level 10 as quickly as possible and gets the XP talent. Because if he gets to level 20, that additional Walrus Punch crit can, even with these highly tanky heroes, people can get one-shotted. So maybe that's the strategy. They're like, well, this is one skill with one talent combination that we know full well can make the difference for us going down the line. But we'll see. They're trying to get aggressive now and steal all the bounty units, though, from the side of Grey Gaming.
We've seen this happen before, where they've managed to so, but against this roster there, they've stood their ground quite well. They're going to secure the top lane. Bottom lane will also go their way. So they invest a bit of time. They don't lose out on a huge amount, just a little bit of HP. In fact, they get 3.
They traded 2-2, yeah.
No, it's a 3.
Did they get 3?
Oh, Chris, no, sorry.
Chris did a smart thing, right? As soon as he saw them encroaching upon the bounty unit itself, he just ran to the opposite one. And he knows he's faster than everybody chasing, so he did the right thing. Already today when we saw Parkland playing earlier, we saw one of the closest series that we've seen so far in this event. And I have a suspicion we're going to be seeing that again. And I really like how interesting they've decided to draft this on the side of the not Grey Gaming. The other team, Parkland, sorry about that.
No worries. We're also loading here sometimes. A whole bunch of new teams. We're used to saying the same names, and this time around we're going to say some new names entirely. But as mentioned, I think this game is the most likely of all the matches we've been involved with to go to the full best of 3.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to see how these two sides perform in this matchup. I think you can see the confidence in the players is also very different. You'll notice that during that engagement by the Ruin, that many sides literally just backed off when they saw the opposition going up against them to contest those ruins. But this was a side that was willing to make smart rotations, make sure that they do in fact contest those ruins, and they came out even. So, in fact, maybe a little bit ahead since they did get off quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, they made it happen for themselves on both sides. You know what I'm really interested to witness, right? I'm interested to see this mid lane between the Zeus and the Timbersaw. Because generally Timbersaw tends to bully out his lane matchups by just spamming points into the reactive armor. You go tank all the attacks from the creep wave and you effectively gain immortality as a result. This time around though, it's not going to be exactly the same because he's going to be dealing with static field as that starts to come out from UIF. And when that does start to happen, it becomes a little bit of a complication for Timbersaw to stick around in the lane if you're just taking spam, and they get the kill on Lifestealer.
They're going to also get killed back onto the Ursa as well, so Parklands started off really well in this game, picking up 2 kills early on. And first time I think we've seen Grey not start off the game with their own first blood.
Yeah. Moreover than that, we saw that it's not just random support heroes that get brought down, it's the off laner and the safe laner. Both of whom, if they die again, because they TP'd out to the lane, will have to do the walk of shame back into a farming position. So really good advantage that they gained for themselves. Also, I will admit that I'm not as fond of Centaur. Like Centaur rolling around with Warlock, and well as Io with the Ursa. I'm not so fond of these particular pairings. I would prefer if Io was with the Centaur and if the Warlock was with the Ursa. But this still can work out. I suppose one of the rationales is that giving the tether towards Ursa enables him to be able to chase you down and dish out more damage.
I tend to agree with you, especially now that the lane has gone right, because you've lost heroes of both. Oh, hold on, I was going to say this, but bottom lane, I think they do bring down the lifesteal and will. So nice work from them. I was going to say that it becomes quite a problem when you lose the experience game and all of a sudden you're behind, but that just changed everything around. Yusuf now highest level in this bottom lane, and of course Warlock able to do a lot of harassment. Lifestealer does have the rage to kind of deal with some of the potential spell damage that they have, but it's just frustrating to deal with.
I'm actually kind of intrigued about the fact that he went for open wounds level 2. I suppose that probably is what helped him get the kill that they found earlier, but generally you tend to see early on, oh, Frostbite gets another kill at top.
And they're trying to run down Zarkun. He is very low, and he will finish it off. Obviously, those stacks building up from powers, and with the brown boots, he's able to run him down and find that first kill.
That'll open up some space for the Shadow Shaman to collect experience here in the top lane, which is going to be fine. I think Powers is going to be one of the heroes they have to have the most worry about. He can run down both Zarkun as well as the Lifestealer, who are the tanky boys in this matchup. Speaking of Lifestealer, they're really harassing on Lucas Van Rooyen at bottom.
Oh yeah, they actually are turning around on this though, but maybe to their detriment. Chris not quite able to find the damage he needs. Ran out of mana on the Skyreth main. Tropsy unable to finish the job, but this will end up working out a little bit in the favor of Yusuf and Lucas in this bottom lane, as they can now heal up with that Shadow Word and potentially turn this lane back on set.
Lifestealer is getting a little bit spooked down at bottom, missing a lot of the CS in front of his tower for fear of being hoof stomped into the double edge, which is a lot of damage really, and getting denied up a little bit as well. So they're going to have to be a little bit more confident about himself, otherwise he's really going to fall behind in CS, which you can't afford to do versus Centaur, because you can be fine as the Lifestealer, but as soon as Centaur starts to get an advantage over you, the damage you take back from the Retaliate kind of makes it impossible for you to even consider using Rage to farm back up, unless the Centaur actually gets killed. So they need to start focusing on ways to actually kill Centaur to create space for Kiwis. But then again, he's not really the game winner. Well, actually he has to be, because on the other side of the map is a Tusker, and Tusk is not the hero you're expecting to farm up enough that they can win the game for you.
They're fighting over the ruins, so they get out the hoof stomp onto Skyreth Mage. Looks like Yusuf will commit to the ruins, but it's going to come at the cost of his core, and now it might be just a race onto the next one. In comes the Timsful Illusion, might be enough to say Chris off, and it is. So they do get the 2 bounty runes in that lane. I'm not sure. Otherwise, they sent one onto the Io and the Shadow Shaman respectively. So advantage there, but also kind of lost because they do lose the core.
Yeah, losing the life of the Centaur also opens up space for Kiwis. At the bright side for them, Quiz on the Lifestealer wasn't actually down in the bottom lane while the Centaur was respawning, so had to go Shrine. This is time for Centaur to catch up. He's going to be the same level as the Lifestealer when he returns. Actually going to be a little bit ahead of him. But thus far, it's okay for them. They have started to come back a little bit now, Grey. Even though they gave up the initial kills, I do think this laning phase is really proving to be to their favor. And they might actually get a kill now again. They're rotating down the Io to make something happen here at bottom.
They did engage into use, but the support comes in. Now they can turn things around here. Rage popped by Percy once out as the Io puts attention onto Tropsy. But so, in the end?
Yeah, nothing happens. I guess when they're trying to be a bit more efficient and create space for Powers at top, but now Powers is in trouble. They know he's isolated.
He's been stunned up, and of course the Snowball also available, and that'll set up nicely for the ice shot. They turn around with the Io now back in the fray, and can they finish the job? Powers very low. They get some assistance from UIF, who manages to pop his ultimate, bring down one.
He's on the way, he's on the way.
He has a haste rune, so he's going to find even more to bring down the Io, but it's not over yet. Potentially they can find another. They opt not to go for it. They did have some time waiting on to tag team, as well as Snowball, etc. So no desire to overcommit it, and why bother? They've got exactly what they came for. They forced the rotations, an all-out win.
They get the rotation out, they get the kill as well.
Sorry, this may backfire though, because UIF TP back in with no mana. Now he's being hunted down by Eurofrodo. He can ignore those tower hits completely as he is quite heavy into the reactive armor. Finds the kill with the chakram. Eurofrodo does punish UIF for heading off to that lane and returning without mana.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a punishing moment there. Well done by the Timbersword to recognize what he was getting himself into. He can't kill Frostbite by himself because he knows he'll get hexed and shackled underneath the tier 1. Then the potential is there to be rotated upon. But great play to be there from Eurofrodo Harry. Take advantage of the Zeus play. And it could have been a kind of a disaster, right? Because Io had rotated top with powers, and both of them ended up losing their lives there. Yusuf does stay alive, but whenever Io moves to one part of the map and does nothing but die, it can really negatively affect this hero because you want as many levels on the Io as humanly possible. They end up just getting the good trade there.
Bottom lane, they've rotated for it again, and Chris managed to go on the far side of the chakra. So still alive for a little bit longer. Can they finish the job? It was enough from the Skywrath Mage. Now Eurofrodo, he wants to find a kill on Chris, but hasn't been able to track him down just yet. Rage, not available to him just yet. Doesn't have the mana for it, but now will. Does mean he gets to dodge one more shock from a shot as they're trying to control this Timbersaw. He does have the Magic Wand charge as well as Soul Ring available, so if he really wants it, he could dive in deep. It looks like he realizes his prey is gone and it's time to move around, find something else to do.
While that was happening though, we did see that they did manage to get a couple of kills down at the top lane. The Tuskar as well as the Shadow Shaman finding themselves losing their lives. UIF gets a revenge kill onto Kawaii Leonard at the very least, but they were chasing with powers.
Sorry, top lane, Yusuf, he's been caught out here by Zarkun. Get the involvement from the Zeus will make sure. Still 9 of 5. Although they are getting a lot of kills, just bear in mind though that a lot of the CS has gone the way of Grey, so they're not too far behind at all. Experience is probably the greater concern.
Experience still seems okay. It's about 750. It's not super bad, but they have found now some key level 6s. In particular, the Zeus and the Shadow Shaman one. Those are the ones we're most afraid of. And they're going to use the Shadow Shaman one almost immediately. Dropping it down on the top lane. Massive Serpent are there. And they're going to get the damage out onto the tier 1 tower.
I think this was one of our basic criticisms in one of the previous matches, was that Serpent Ward stayed on cooldown for a long time. You can see he's just at level 6, so this time around making no mistake, making use of it. But the Sharkram's flying in from the sidelines. They do get a lot of damage from Zaku, but they've got to be careful because there is also powers in the surround. They're using attack to slow things down, trying to buy UIF some time. He turns back in, gets some nuke damage onto Frodo, who once again goes wide with the Sharkram. They've brought in Yusuf, but they haven't found the kills they want. Tropsy pretty much accepts his fate as he heads into the tree line, but moving to the far side of the UIF, allowing him the opportunity to safely escape. So just sacrificing a Skywrath Mage, certainly an acceptable trade-off there.
Big plays there. Oh my gosh. You know how it got even bigger? So they had committed mass Serpent Wards onto the tier 1 tower. And I thought at the very least they were going to be able to deny it. Well, there's a fight at bottom. They're going to lose Lifestealer. Feels bad.
Important kills again. Making use of Stampede to find one of the opposing cores.
Yeah, but I was going to say that he made use of the mass Serpent Wards, and the tower almost was in deny range, but the fact that it stays outside of it does mean that they'll be able to come back and claim the tier 1.
And look at that, it's out there by 1.
By 1 hit points. Feels
Rune
bad.
Wars continue again, and this is going to favor the side of Grey very highly. They've already picked up the bottom 2 opposing Rune Wards, and of course they'll lap up the last one. So 4 going their way, that's a huge boon.
Yeah. The only way they can get something out of this is if they kill the Centaur, and they're going to try to go for it.
Yeah, they go in with the ultimate from this as well. He held on to the Hoof Stomp for as long as he could, but fortunately forced to go with it. Immediately dispelled by the Rage, or rather didn't have any effect. And although Eurofrodo does make his way down to try and add some value down here, the damage is already done. And of course, Zeus, he's happy with the counter rotation. He's a little bit behind as far as experience goes and as far as net worth. But now's an opportunity for him to put a little bit of harassment on the tower. They do have the Siege Wagon up as well, so he'll use the space well. And they need to now find something in this bottom lane. Eurofrodo as well as Leonard. They are actually a surprisingly strong duo. Timbersaw very hard to bring down, next to an IO even harder. And of course they have a huge amount of sustain in regen. Yeah. But they haven't found what they needed. Top lane as well. Looks like Frostbite this time will commit second set of Serpent Wards to make sure that they bring down the tower. Maybe
probably wasn't necessary.
I guess just making sure, because there was an opponent in the area, so I wanted to have the benefit of the doubt. But I would rather him use it more than not use it. I think we've been, once again, there's been criticism. Mid lane though, Eurofrodo goes wide with the first chakram. Now does connect nicely. Doesn't pull it back immediately, so lost on a little bit of damage in UIF, but realize he can't exactly go toe-to-toe with him right now. In comes a snowball though from the sideline. Darkon does catch him out beautifully. Very well placed ice charge. Any other hero in the game, that's probably a kill. But Frodo, very tanky on the Timbersaw and has the ability to chain away from that. But you still can appreciate the art if you would.
Yeah, it was a pretty great escape. Nice dodge juke there from Eurofrodo. They did manage to bring down the IO down on the bottom side of the map. But honestly, it does feel like to me Parklands are really okay with this because the situation as it's unfolding is keeping this game relatively static. We're not really seeing tier 1 towers fall. Only one in the game has been dropped thus far. And I do not think that they want to necessarily be playing a game late with Timbersaw, Centaur, and Ursa as their core duo, especially not against the Zeus, who is going to turn their primary strengths as those three heroes into their primary weaknesses as this game continues.
Actually, I do think, once again, in retrospect, the Zeus, the fact that he has that ability to do percentage-based damage radius up high on the wrong side of the eye shots, they will eliminate him very quickly. Once again, UIF making some movements across the map as he TPs back in safely, nothing able to bridge the gap just yet.
And he makes that TP just as the Zeus, the Timbersaw is the one that comes down bottom. So they've actually not paid for this at all. And I don't like this. Lucas, no! Lucas van Rooyen is building Blade Mail, which can be fine against the Zeus in general, but in a game like this one, where you really need the initiation more than anything, it can be alright. But they're going to get the kill on the Zeus at the very least anyway.
Yeah, he's in a very awkward position. He doesn't see it, doesn't manage to pick the right line. They're going to run him down with the Stampede, and this should be a very clean, easy kill. No real ways out for it, no runes that are going to spawn to save his life. And important, yet I wouldn't say necessarily expensive kill, but they had to commit fairly hard for it. They did send 2 cores there to sort out the job, and additionally they used up Stampede, which didn't have the longest cooldown in the world, but it is a significant cooldown.
On the bright side though, Zeus, before he died, he spent all his money, bought himself another Void Stone to build into the Yule Scepter, so didn't really lose out on anything in that situation. And like you mentioned, it was time and effort taken up by the Grey lineup. So Grey Gaming, still, how is it possible? 12 minutes in, we still have a very even game.
Yusuf caught out here one more time.
Oh,
These ice shards are, you know, it's the kind of thing you're supposed to hit, but he's hitting them nice each time. But the Infernal goes down, and they're going to buy a little bit of time. Some nice moves from Lucas. They do bring down the Warlock, but there's still some work to do. Lucas trying to limp away from Chris's Lifestealer. One more hit required, and he does find it. Zarkon backing off those. Frodo wants to find some cross kills. They do not manage to bring down any further targets, but he is not out of the woods just yet. We'll try to shock him. He misses, woods the chain, and that does mean that he could fall down here. They're trying to finish the job and do so manage with the lightning bolt from the Zeus, and Powers needs to find a little bit of something extra out of this fight, but he's being brought down himself. The snowball is committed. They're going to catch him on the deep end of it, but it's enough to finish the job. In comes a TP from a brought back Timbersaw. He desperately needs to find something. Goes in with a really good Timber Chain. Got to find one more though. Zarkon doesn't have a huge amount of disposal. Does have one Walrus Punch. Could buy him a little bit of time. Once again goes at the high ground. Got to find his way out. Caught up by the Chakram. So low, but not dead just yet. Going back in, you realize that Lucas is trying to flank him. He is running out of options. Does go into the snowball now though. Just buy him a bit of time. Delay his death, but a death it will be.
Oh my goodness, that took so long for Zarkun to die over there. Honestly, I thought he was going to run up the ramp and make his way towards the ancient camp and have himself denied over there. But nevertheless, he manages to escape. He doesn't manage to escape, excuse me, and they get their revenge by bringing him down. However, that did require a buyback from the Timbersaw to happen, and they lost absolutely everybody in the middle of that fight.
It's really a fantastic fight for them, and for the first time, these additional kills have lent themselves to having an actual gold lead. It's very small at the moment, but that is great news if you are a Parklands supporter right now. As Grey, they still are most certainly in with a very good chances. They're by no means out of it, but they have lost a little bit of that lead that they worked so hard to achieve early on.
Yeah. I will say though that I'm not really a fan of Lifestealer's item progression in this game. He's getting himself the Armlet, and I presume he's going to be building into the SNY afterwards, perhaps getting an AC. But I kind of feel like you're in the game situation where you can afford to go for the Radiance. Buy yourself some late game insurance, because in this early to mid game portion you can still fight relatively well. So I would have really liked to see him do that instead. With this Armlet, it kind of does mean that they have the impetus to fight a lot more often. And those are not always the kind of fights that you win as conclusively as you'd like with the Lifestealer. But we'll see though.
Zarkun may be in trouble. He's expended a couple of abilities. Pause will come out as a DC interrupts the play, but Zarkun just used a snowball and his ice shard to try to farm this particular wave, which means that he is without many options available to him. Now, the T1 tower does still stand, so it is entirely possible for some TPs to come in here and support Zarkun. But the question is, do they opt to do this? Now, this is an interesting situation because in normal play, this is a reflex call effectively. Hey guys, I need some help middle. I can see them coming in on me. And it's almost a snap decision that people have to make. Now, this changes a lot because you're asking questions as the teams like, okay, if you are Grey right now, you're aware that this buys a lot of time for Zarkon to strategize of how he's getting out of the situation and for other players to mass TP in. So either you're going to see mass TPs immediately into the mid lane, assuming that this is indeed visible. Should probably just... no, it's not actually, so they wouldn't have known. Actually, just outside of it, so they've managed to get the jump on him regardless, and they should finish the job. Did cast 4 people rotating mid, but there's definitely something there. But look at the damage that's been done. Now the return does come in, and they catch out the Timber Saw. It's a big one, but they've got to finish the job. Really hard to bring down, but they do bring him down in the end. Obviously, all that armor paying off, but a lot of magical damage will solve that.
Definitely worth it. If I'm the Timber Saw over there, I'm like, guys, yeah, making that rotation not worth it for the Tusk's life. Because at the same time, they get the Tusk kill, but they're not going to get anything out of the lane itself. Erstwhile, Parklands will be able to turn this around and use this as an advantage to take a tier 1 tower.
Oh, they drop a lot of ultis here. Lucas on the front lines does pop the bait rail. He's taking a lot of damage. He's coming the ulti here and now. Frostbite very, very low. Chris will try to walk this one off, but in comes Zarkoon. He wants some extra kills. They bring down the IO. Powers now turns his attention to Chris, not able to finish off the job because UIF on the back line is hurting a lot. Powers does manage to survive with a hasted up Zeus. Still wants a piece of the ice shots. No, denied. I don't know if he gets the kill regardless. Powers did blink away, and he does have drums, so he's not a slouch when it comes to move speed. But certainly not the ice shots you wanted, unless there was Zaku just saying no.
They're saying, hey man, he was like, if you chase, you might end up dying, fam. To be fair, he didn't know if the Zeus are just going to run uphill, find an Ursa who turns around upon him with Fury Swipes. So smart thing to do. And Warlock ends up denying the tower, but yet again, another engagement turning sour for the Grey. So they came into that fight, they get 1 kill, get turned around upon, and they have to flee en masse and in numbers, and they lost the Centaur again. I think it's one thing to lose Centaur and or Timbersaw, but losing them consistently this early on in the game, given that they're going to be the ones that are expected to frontline for you, can present and pose some problems. And they need to address UIF somehow. The main reason I was so unhappy with this Blade Mail purchase, I feel like if you're not going to buy Blink Dagger, the Centaur needs the pipe of this game. You just can't survive without the pipe of insight versus the Zeus.
I also feel like this is when it was probably supposed to be the time for Parklands to really make a dent in the economy. This is one of those moments where they have all this magic damage. These tanky heroes do still, in this kind of environment, suffer because they have no pipes, nothing like that available to them just yet.
Yeah.
So the magic damage really does count. But it's surprising how well they've been able to do so. But at the same time, Grey have done a really good job at saying that there's so many kills behind, but the farm hasn't been lost. Whoever tosses out the Timbersaw into there doesn't want a piece of this fight just yet, but is interested. He's got some friends in the surrounds as well. Zarkoon obviously also with that Blightstone able to make it a little bit easier to get through Eurofrodo Harry's reactive armor.
Yeah, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of armor. And they haven't, I thought they were going to go drop mass circle.
Oh, Frostbite. We've seen this before. Often he does go on these solo warding missions, and although he's staying alive for a little while, surely not. Shadow Shaman's a really slow hero, but at the moment, staying alive for long enough, the Stampede finally comes in because they still want this. But I tell you what, considering how much they added to that fight, they brought in 4 heroes, and they commit the Stampede to make sure they kill the Shadow Shaman. So that's a win.
That's definitely a win. And when he respawns, provided Joseph doesn't de-ward the Sentry Ward on the high ground, is he going to do it? No, he's not. If he ever goes uphill, he's actually going to be able to find the Sentry and the Observer or de-ward them both.
We've seen this before as well. The support duo from Grey has been very good at warding, but likewise, Parklands have been no slouch. They've managed to put down quite a few deep wards of their own in previous matches. So I like the fact that they have both shown that they're value wards. They really are, I would say, something that seems so simple, but are an advanced part of Dota. And you can just see, and I think maybe in fact, Snare, you'd be better to explain exactly why these wards are on, if you like them or not. But that'll have to wait because UIF is in a little bit of trouble here. Lucas trying to find the kill. He doesn't have Blink Dagger available. I think they're going to leave this one. So we'll move our attention down to the bottom section of the map where a lot of heroes are converging around each other, but potentially no fight breaking out just yet. Maybe when you feel like you can sneak it in, just jump in and have a little bit of chat about these wards and how you feel about them.
So one of the, oh wait, there's definitely going to be a fight over bounties. Okay, not this time around. Okay, at least not this time. Feels like there's always going to be some kind of engagement on this map. But one of the more important things about making sure that your wards pull double duty, not just getting the D-ward off, but being in a position that it's dangerous for the enemy to try and D-ward them. And even look at the situation. We saw a death there from the Shadow Shaman a bit earlier. He dies planting out a sentry. He does get de-warded, but now he knows where the enemy sentry ward is, and he knows not to try and ward this particular area. Completely protected there.
Wow, they're putting a lot down into Chris. They've managed to get a lot of damage out in response though. Powers, he wants pieces. Nice work there. Interrupting the flow of this fight by just tossing out the Walrus Punch. Doesn't do a huge amount of damage, but it is enough to harm him. Still not enough damage onto Yusuf though, who is very, very low. Does the chain bounce? Kindly, it does not. Yusuf survives a little while longer. So they commit quite a lot again onto that lifestealer. And this is one of the problems. When you commit things like the Chaotic Offering and you don't find a huge amount of work on these early stages, you can find yourself brought down regardless. Frostbite, though, in trouble in the bottom lane here, as he has the potential option to... well, he traps himself.
Well, yeah.
He can TP out of this, so it's not a huge issue, but I actually feel like maybe if he goes on the Powers, he has the opportunity to slow him down, get some reinforcements coming and potentially find that kill, but he just wanted to live. That's an expensive life.
Yeah, I honestly think he should have died. Death is better as a Shadow Shaman than actually using the Mass Open Lords. They're going to try and take a fight after this anyway so that they don't necessarily feel the loss of the Mass Open Lords. Looks like they are a bit aware though on the side of Grey, and they are like, get back. Powers makes the call. He's like, team, let this one go. We don't really need to defend this tier 1 tower. But they're coming in with the Warlock. I don't know about this. They already committed the Warlock ultimate beforehand in the previous fight. I don't know if it's going to be useful here.
Sounds like a fake back to me because they are all finding their way down here. We've got Powers and Co. They're going to use the Shrine as well, make sure that they're fighting fit. But Lucas, he's the man to watch. He's the one who's going to pick this fight if he wants it. We'll potentially go in on this bottom lane as soon as you see some nice squishies. The ideal scenario, catch up both the supports by themselves, finish them off before they can contribute, and then find the rest of the fight that way. But they've moved around the back line. They are flying through here. They want to get the backstab, but they have been scouted out here. In they go into the IO. They do connect, and they should be able to finish the job. He's very, very low, but not dead just yet. Frostbite is shackling up whatever he can to buy a little bit more time, but the IO still survives. Will potentially be brought down. No, still alive. The initial target still surviving this. They bring down the Shadow Shaman. Zeus also falls in the peripheral. So Powers and friends can now move forward. Quist realizes this fight is lost. We need to back out. They've already lost 2, but we do see a lot of aggression coming out from the Skywrath. He may just finish the second Warren off and does, but he did manage to return some of the damage straight back onto him. Can they finish with Powers and Quist? Yes, they can. And a very low HP, and mana here for Eurofrodo. He Tibber chains across, does get some distance, but the IO is the one that's going to try help him out. He comes back in, providing with both mana and sustain. Wants to turn this fight around. Does have that ultimate being triggered up, so he will potentially go back to where he came from alone. Didn't have the tether. So now we have a situation where once more Eurofrodo is isolated, and this time he is being wrapped up by Frostbite. Shadow Shaman still alive, still crawling, but the snowball should surely finish the job, and it does. They'll find one, but in came the IO as well to help out. This was certainly a mistake. Sometimes it's better to watch your friends die, unfortunately, because sometimes it ends up backfiring, and that's exactly what happened here.
They got team wiped. Everybody's dead suddenly. Every time this just keeps happening. They picked a lineup that's supposed to be able to take the longer fights, but unfortunately it is a Zeus and Lifestealer. And between the two of them, long drawn out engagements are kind of their forte. And they end up really taking that fight to the maximum. And I was criticizing Quiz earlier on for not buying the Radiance and going for this Armlet, but having this additional toggles, the extra strength available to keep the chase down going, and the fact that he built this Heaven's Halberd means that he keeps getting this evasion. Powers just can't deal with this Lifestealer right now.
This is certainly problematic. He's looking for the Roshan. He's a little bit low, but he's got all those stacks. So eating away at the Roshan. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no! That could backfire even worse than before. They know that he's just died to Roshan. And you can see the TPs coming in immediately. They want to see what's happening over there. Quist, he is low, but there's a regen as well. So he's going to be fighting fit. Lifestealer actually totally capable of dealing some damage to this Roshan, and he knows exactly what's happening. He did get it hit off before his regen up to full HP. Hopefully not the same mistake being made. No, he brings in the reinforcements. UAF is going to scout up. Going to drop down some of the disables now. Surely make sure of this. And there we go. Aegis goes the other way. Grey do not get the luck they required. They needed that bash not to occur. And now set up for the easiest Roshan of their lives.
Oh my goodness. They take advantage of that. Perfect opportunity for them to get a real advantage in the game. Perfect position for themselves to be in this game. And they end up in a situation where because of that one play, not only is the gold lead against them again, but the Aegis, the one tool that normally Ursa makes use of in order to recover in a game where things are going rough, not going to be there. That's... Now, here's the thing, right? Normally, as Ursa, you want the first two Aegises as soon as you get your BKB. You want the Blink, BKB, Basher with the Aegis, and you go. Now, all you have is the Blink BKB, and you can't actually fight Lifestealer twice. You're going to kill him once, maybe, but the second life is going to be very difficult to achieve. You're also dealing with the Heaven's Halberd, so you might find yourself getting halberded up before you even cast your BKB. So this game honestly, right, it might only say a 2K gold lead, but this feels like 5 or 6K that they're behind right now.
I couldn't agree with you more. And although, as you mentioned, this Ursa, he's strong, he's got the BKB up, but the moment he becomes isolated or he gets heaven halberded up, he just cannot produce any kind of result for his team.
Yeah.
And even though they have the IO and the sustain from the likes of the Centaur Warrunner, they're just not getting through this. We are seeing the pipe slowly being built towards.
That's
but
too late.
It's unfortunately, this is one thing. This item pays off far better earlier on.
Yeah.
As although it obviously provides a lot of magic resistance for the Centaur, it's really the activatable that you want to use to help your team stay alive. And right now, the amount of damage you're getting out for the likes of the Zeus, I mean, his ultimate alone is more than enough to get through that kind of damage. And you see he's almost level 18, which means it'll pretty much pierce the entire thing. And at that point, everything else is free reign.
And it makes it even worse because the Zeus scales with percentage-based damage, so does the Lifestealer. And neither of them, like the pipe only gives you a certain set amount of magic block. So there's going to come a point in this game where before the fight even really starts, Zeus can cast 2 spells from out of fog, and then just because of static field, it's already burst away the pipe of insight, making life much more difficult than it needs to be.
Deso also completed on Zarkoon, so a lot of the armor that they're relying on to stay alive is something like the Powers Ursa obviously generates a lot of armor by being virtue of being an agility hero. So even that is going to be reduced now. Oh, can they find more? They root him up and they control that Timsel Blue. He actually popped the shrines. This may backfire even further because now you have a Centaur Warrunner isolated as well. He wants out, pops his own ulti, but they could still potentially track him down here. Blinks away, fortunate to be just centimeters away from that nuke coming out from the Skywrath Mage.
Yeah, he's going to get far enough away with Blink and Stampede, but you just had to commit Blink and Stampede to run away from a Skywrath Mage. And the Skywrath Mage, all he needs is to have a lot of ATOS, and this becomes one of the most dangerous heroes on the map right now. Truly absurd how much of an advantage they've gotten so quickly.
And he is doing a lot of damage as well. Those nulls do add up when it comes to Skywrath Mage. He scales very well with intelligence.
I think probably the best scaling hero with Edge in the game, right? Except with the exception of maybe OD, but that's sort of like a different
maybe
mechanic.
Silence as well, but I mean,
yeah.
we're talking about the heroes regardless that are really great with that kind of thing. So no doubt about it, he can deal some real damage. Bottom lane Powers though, trying to find some work elsewhere. I think he's established that they are now the side that's behind. It's going to be interesting to see though, against what's the name?
Against Parklands.
No, Parklands, our friends
Oh,
from
Grey Gaming.
No, previous matchup. The guys. I always forget the name. Our dear former friends who have already been eliminated, those guys. We saw that they did in fact gain an advantage where the momentum shifted and they weren't able to hold it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see if they can this time around because Grey, a really fantastic side in the school division. And I would not be surprised if they do in fact have a plan on how to make their way back into this game.
At the same time though, the one thing I'm really concerned about is Ursa and Timbersaw. Their next 5 minutes determines how the game is going to go because these heroes tend to peak around this particular point in the game, and to compound matters for them, UIF now has Aghanim Scepter, so you have the Nimbus Cloud as well, which really is an absurd amount of damage against the kind of drop that they have. And they only have the one BKB. In fact, Centaur is the only hero on this lineup that wants to buy it.
They've actually done some good work. They've used the Nimbus Cloud to slow down use long enough for the Lifestealer to pick them off.
Nice.
So no Infernal, no Chaotic offering for the next potential fight. And I think they still have the Aegis, so they do. It's probably a good time to try to force this advantage. At the very least, they want to go on to this tier 2, but they don't have the Serpent Wards for 20 seconds, which means by virtue of this taking some time, they could potentially find themselves up on the high ground before the Warlock has spawned with the Serpent Wards down, which is not necessarily enough to take a Rax or even the tower itself, but certainly an opportunity for them to do some damage.
I kind of feel like I like this push that they're doing. I do not like what Eurofrodo Harry just did now. He opted, instead of finishing all the way in for Shiva's God, he bought a Blade Mail to stop things off with. And I don't know, I always feel like if you're buying Blade Mail after 20 minutes, it's sort of like a desperation item, that you're uncertain about the nature of the game and you feel you have to do something drastic in order to be able to keep up. Frostbite's going to die for the sake of dewarding. He's going to give up his life. Oh, maybe not.
Well, actually, he's got himself into a very interesting situation, and the support has come in now. They managed to connect with one, but the snowball was on top of him. So now they're going straight back with Powers. He's powering through. He's controlled a little while longer. Hexed up. Can he survive this for long enough to get some damage up? BKB up. not going to lifesteal, not going to survive. And although they're getting a decent engagement, the Infernal only comes in now, and Frostbite being beaten up. In comes the tanky cores one more time. Frodo wants to finish off UIF, but is unable to do so. Quiz is isolated on the back lines. He's standing his ground, though. He does still have that Aegis. He will pop out again, and Eurofrodo realizes now's the time, have to get back out on the back lines. Lucas wants to finish off the Skywrath Mage, but he's going to move towards the Shrine, pops it just in time, and he does get brought down regardless. TP supports coming in, it's buyback time as well. Quiz wants a piece of this center ward and has to find the hit though, because he does have that blink dagger, but he'll be caught out by those shackles and brought down in the end. So 4 for 3, but there was a buyback, at least one coming out from Parklands.
Yeah, Parklands brought back on the Shadow Shaman, and they lost the Aegis of the Immortal. So I think in the grand scheme of things, they'll probably be quite happy about that on the side of Great Gaming. At the same time, you're never really happy taking even fights when you're in a game situation where you know that the late game doesn't necessarily go in your favor. And that was on their side of the map here, Halbert. Imagine what would have happened if that was on flatter ground where there was no high ground advantage available for Great Gaming, where Powers doesn't get the free snowball onto 3 different heroes and able to do damage in the midst of all of it. I feel like whoever cast that Lotus Orb onto the Powers Ursa probably saved that fight and likely saved the entire game. It was a Timbersaw who passed that Lotus Orb, forcing him to snowball back into a positive direction.
And that's the thing as well, he was literally delivered exactly where he wanted to be in that fight, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. Remember, Useless Warlock was respawning at the time, so he was late to the party. If that Infernal came down at the same time, if he got the Fatal Bonds off into that fight, you actually probably see a clean fight coming out from Grace. So fortunate for Parklands that he wasn't up at that time, but as you mentioned, there were specifics that occurred that allowed that to... Oh, did they just double smoke?
They double smoked underneath an Observer Ward.
That is very, very unfortunate. So they've used up a key part in the arsenal, but was it scouted out? It looks like Frostbite was unaware. He's not the target they really would want, and he actually manages to survive for long enough to drop down the circle with the top of Powers. Chris comes in. They're going to retreat with the Stampede now, but can they get all the way out? They're going to lose the IO, and they're still in this fight at the moment because they are being tracked down. Fortunately for them, they managed to go without too many losses, but an IO for a Shadow Shaman. There was the buyback on the Shadow Shaman in the previous fight, so I guess this still favors him to a degree, but the double smoke for his support, that one will be felt.
Yeah, double smoke for support, especially considering you're getting into more desperate times.
Top lane, Powers, he wants a piece of UIF, but he gets sent into the air with the Yule Scepter regardless. Drops down the Nimbus as well to buy him some time. He's actually doing so much damage. Powers is in a little bit of trouble here. He realizes he needs to back off. Does have help from Lucas though, so they cannot commit to the kill. But that really did hurt.
That hurt a lot. He started getting scared because he wanted to run at him, but he had to back away. Only had a few seconds left before the enrage. That's probably not good news, right? When your hard carry Ursa, his primary job is supposed to be able to deal with mid-lane heroes like the Zeus, these squishy targets. But if every time he shows up, something like that keeps happening, because now he can't kill Zeus because that's going to keep happening over and over again. He can't really kill the Skywrath Mage by himself because Skywrath Mage has a lot of ATOS. Just keep getting kited around with the Arcane Bolts and concussive shots. You can go on the support Shadow Shaman, but every time he's gone for the support Shadow Shaman, he tends to find himself inside a ward trap, and the game really looks difficult for him. So we're at a point now where Powers, all he wants to do is able to play Ursa Dota, and they're preventing him from doing that. And it's going to start becoming, instead of just pure frustration, it's going to start getting deadly for this player.
And as you mentioned, even if he goes in the Shadow Shaman, he doesn't have a basher yet. We will have it soon. But without a bash, you always is under the sense that even if he pops the BKB, you can plant the Serpent Wards between you and the Ursa and has a very high likelihood to both trap the Ursa and pop you away from the physical damage he's providing.
Yeah.
So it means that you're not even guaranteed the kill, and potentially you're isolating yourself for a very low target whilst having to expend your BKB. So not an ideal scenario for the Bear, as you mentioned.
And also, with BKB does not protect you from the damage that come out of the mass Serpent Wards. And it is significant, much more than you would think. Especially as he got that 20% talent. So he's definitely going to get the towards damage at 25.
They're going to start engaging. Lucas goes deep in, but he gets aided by the snowball from Zarkon. And they're all staying on top of each other, fighting on the circle. They drop the Stampede as well. They're trying to move forward. They are getting the advantage of damage. Out comes the Nimbus as well. The damage is there for the side of Grave though. Can they finish some more? That Quiz tries to TP out. No bash. There's no basher. But Zarkon still in a little bit of trouble. He's trying to limp away. The Shadow Blade is going to be expended. Tosses out the Astral by a bit of time. They will allow Powers though to speed through. He wants a piece of this tusk. He does still have the Warrior's Punch, but he opts for the Snowball instead. So going to be controlled brought down most likely, even though it comes out, he swarms around, and that is a fantastic fight for Grey, who managed to make a massive meal of it. Wasn't quite sure who would get the benefit at the beginning, but in the end, it's most certainly just one clear win, and they're going to try to find a little bit more. The Rage still available, Chris, so he's not in too much trouble, but they do find the tier 1 tower, they find a massive team fight, and they find the gold lead as well.
Grey able to take a fight right outside the base. It really did seem like on the side of Parklands they got a little bit too hasty. And now they're forced to buy back en masse.
Oh, this
I
may
don't
be
think
hefty.
that was worth it.
They go through, and I don't think they're going to get anything from this, but they really do need something, and that could backfire in itself. By virtue of them really committing this, they're going with Zarkin. He does want to finish off the Eye. They managed to do so, but they need a little bit more from this. Ice shards will be available in 5 seconds, so if you can catch something out, this does become worth it. Does he have the range, though? Does throw it out. Will connect. No! Yusuf barely, but does manage to survive it. Snowball now up. They're still trying to find something. Snowball will be in range. Goes immediately onto it. The Glimmer Cape comes out. They don't have a lot of control for him, but they manage to scout out with the Lightning Bolt. So they do find the Warlock as well. You can potentially turn this. Buyback becomes important now. There is buyback, in fact, available on the Warlock. He doesn't have his ulti though, so I was curious if he would do it. He does do so. He does offer a huge amount of damage in the Fatal Bonds.
Yeah, he decides that it's rather worth it just to present a unified front on the high ground. Make sure that they have fear about what happened in the bottom lane. That was one of the few fights where we saw Powers able to get onto the backlines by himself without being scouted out at all. And when that happens, he completely eviscerates everybody. But however, the fight ends up turning south in the middle of the lane. Man, what a close game. Warlock with that buyback does mean that they give up yet again the gold advantage. I mean, how is it possible that we're 35 minutes into this game and we've yet to have anything more than a 2k net worth lead for either side?
I also want to point out as well that as tight as this game is, it's also been a really good level. I mean, this is two high school sides, obviously limited simply by virtue of having to play for the exact, or rather attend the same high school. And they've managed to both put up sides that are totally respectable, with all 5 players on both sides really participating in a decent level and offering real value to their team. So I don't think you could have asked for a better final in this kind of environment.
No, definitely not. 35 minutes and it's still basically anybody's game. They're going to force them to come and retreat back at top. The TP is already starting. They are aware of the danger of mass serpent wards.
They go straight back in here. They caught out the Zeus, but the response is there. And they're managing to knock down onto this set war. And that Infernal comes out. They didn't manage to finish the job. Can they turn this one around? HP-wise, they are a little bit lower, but they do have the tankier heroes. UIF in trouble here. He's been engaged on. Can they find the job? No, they don't. The Snowball saves it, but they're going to go straight back in. They're all in there. Now they're caught out. They're going to lose the Zeus. They may lose more, but they will have Zarka trying to finish off the Timberstone. Can he finish the job? Yes, he can. With the help of that Infernal, though, they're still on the front foot here, I'd imagine. The buybacks, not required just yet, but there are 4 versus 3, which does mean that Grey hold that high ground defense. They also find a couple of extra kills, and I think some important kills as well. Though the Shadow Shaman did fall in exchange for the Timbersworn rights, you get the Zeus for free.
Yeah, and I think we were discussing this yesterday before the tournament began. What is going to be the defining factor between the teams that played this weekend? And we all agreed it's going to be about how you push the high ground, whether or not you have the necessary experience to do so safely. And even Grey, the times that we've seen them look the shakiest is when they were trying to push on the high ground. And we see again here a little bit of impatience affecting the side of Parklands. Just clearly out of position on the Shadow Shaman and the Zeus. The fight happens before you're ready to take it. And sure, for a moment it looked like Zeus was going to be able to survive and they were going to get the sent to a kill. But it ends up going really, really south. And they cost the massive forwards nowhere near the high ground itself. A very successful fight for Grey.
Powers now being supported by Leonard's iOS. They this time should be able to take Roshan down without any surprises. This time he has a buddy that will keep him alive and well, and he's got a Basher in his own. Lucas also positioning himself well. He's got Stampede available in just a second, so if they do re-engage here, they have answers, but it doesn't look like there's any response in time from Parklands. They're going to have to give this one up, which means that is the better one as well. This one comes equipped with cheese. They're going to give the Aegis to Powers, so a nice hero to have it. Good as it, he's technically a transformation hero in the sense he has enraged, but he can always hold onto that for a second life. Yeah. And additionally, they throw over the cheese onto the Center War Runner, so 2 very tanky heroes that you're going to have to bring down pretty much twice. They do have the disable to potentially get through the Center War Runner by really unloading on him with the Shadow Shaman, but even then, if he even gets through the disables for a second, he'll pop that cheese, be full fighting fit again, and then they're in a fantastic position. Snare, what do you do here as Parklands? What is the response? Because now I think the pendulum has swung.
The thing that you do primarily is don't be where UIF and Chris are. right now. This is way too dangerous a place to be. They're going to get pincered in here. None of their team is nearby to defend them. Whenever you give up Aegis plus cheese and a couple of other items, the first thing you want to do, UIF is dead.
Yeah, he gets Scarlet Powers, gets right on top of him. He doesn't manage to get the yields off, and they will toss out the ultimate from the Zeus. But that's really problematic because he has brought back as well. So he's down on the deck now for 3 minutes and 14 seconds before he can buy back. And of course, the 80-second respawn timer. And I feel like that's go time. You have the Aegis, you have a very core pickup, one of the mass damage dealers from your opponents. There's absolutely no reason to stop this. You, in fact, also haven't used a single ultimate.
Yeah,
this might be the game here, Snare. They have to do a pretty strong defense. In goes Powers, very deep. Will get shackled up, or rather controlled by the Hex from the Shadow Shaman. In comes Infernal as well. A lot of damage was dealt to Timsel, so he has to back off for the time being. But they are still fighting fit. Powers lost the Aegis, but he's still alive for the second round now. In comes Darkling, he's got that Shadow Blade up. If you can find something low, potentially do a lot of damage, he deletes the IO. So that's a really big pick off there. But they're taking so much damage. The Snowball buying a little bit of time, but they're going to swarm around it. They might just get everybody here. They stun everybody here. They hoof stomp them to the ground and fall down here. The Skywrath Mage stands alone. He will find himself dead most likely. In comes the Centaur Warren onto the back lines, but they did get some buybacks coming out. Can they find the kills that they need? Blade Nail has been popped. Chris desperately trying to find any kind of kill. Not able to commit to the Tibesaur, so now they're going to back off onto him. Chris being kited around. They're toying with their meal right now, and I think that may just be a good game, because here's the thing, they have the Zeus coming back in 15 seconds, but it's just the two of them up, and they can potentially do so much economic damage here as well.
Oh no, the tier 2's mid, the tier 2's mid, and tier 2 one top. Can only get one lane Rax. They have to get back. They have to get back. What a boon.
That is so fortunate, actually. The control pays off in the meantime, as rightly pointed out. This would be 2 lanes of Rax easily, but they have to double back for the second tier 2. They still have a window, though, to operate in here, because there are no buybacks available. So there's no Shadow Shaman for a minute and no Tusk for a minute. So if they really want, they could try force the issue. But in comes the UIF, who really desperately wants it. They're going to both build each other. Try and buy time, so we'll be happy with it. So close to bring down Frodo, but Frodo still survives. Can he finish the job? Just needs one last hit onto him potentially. But Io healing him up, and the backlines are going to pick up a haste rune as well. So he's going to be A-OK. They'll be very satisfied with the fact they managed to escape with their lives there. They don't get the tier 2, but the 12k net worth that they have just earned is deafening.
My goodness. I was so worried. UIF almost lost his team the game right now with that run that he made forward. Like, the Zeus plays, it definitely helped him to get to this position where they're competing in this game. But that play at bottom between him and Kiwi's left the tier 2 tower when it was being agreed upon. He decided to stick around, and the ensuing fight leads with them losing a lane of Rax. And they do not necessarily deal that well with super creeps. The Lifestealer didn't build Maelstrom or Radiance, just went for this pure right-clicking build, which is fine, but that does mean that there is no possibility of him being able to easily, without any inconvenience, clear out these bottom waves.
Fortunately, believe it or not, Skywrath Mage with Ags is actually pretty handy at holding on these lanes.
That actually saved the fight, because at some point I was like, why is 2 heroes silence? Who bought a Orchid? But then the IO died. Well, if IO didn't have buyback, it might have been better.
Smoked up, but they find UIF again. He still doesn't have buyback. He's caught on his own shards, so can they turn this one around? They're trying to find the fight. The backline Frostbite doing a lot of work here, trying to hold down the Centaur Warren. They will find this kill finally, and in comes the Snowball, but they're very, very low. They can't be caught out here. The Walrus Punch brings down another. They can turn this one around, Snare. They're turning around to Lennon. He is also very low. Does he have the tether? It's available in a second. They will be able to go back, picking the right target. Powers as far away as possible, and now they're on the retreat. In comes the ultimate from Zeus, seeing if there's anything else they can probe out of this one. But they do manage to take a really critical fight, and it could have been so bad because UIF still did not have buyback. Now he does, so it does mean that he'll be able to buy back into the next fight potentially. But had he died there, that potentially was the game right there.
What the hell is happening right now? That fight looks like they were going for their target. They knew we kill UIF here. Presumably he doesn't have buyback. The game ends immediately almost. But they take the fight, and his Tusker eye-shot at him. If they manage to push him onto the high ground with the Zeus, then that fight is super easy. But because instead he gets stuck inside it, looks very much like he's going to fall there. But simultaneously, that I think also baits in the side of the Grey, because they thought to themselves, well, okay, we have the Zeus, we kill him, we win the game, he's on low HP, let's jump in for him. But they were not prepared for the rest of the damage that came in from Parklands. And now, this game was at some point a 14k gold lead, now down to 9. No buybacks. Now the buybacks are starting to return for the Radiant side, so they're not going to be nearly as threatened. They're still waiting for the Lifestealer as well as the Shadow Shamans. But as long as Zeus has buyback, I still feel that they have a potential to win this game.
I really want to point out again that it's amazing how good this game has actually been. I mean, we did not expect this coming into this, that we'd have sides of this caliber playing for these schools. And I think, regardless who ends up winning this final, I think both schools really should feel very proud of themselves. And to be frank, the organization, the institutes themselves, the actual schools, that assembly, you should speak very highly of these boys because they have truly performed some fantastic Dota here. And I think there's some true stars in the making in this lineup here from both sides there.
I'm going to be very surprised if come this time next year we haven't cast at least 3 of the players that we've seen this weekend coming like top 4 in the tournament that we do locally.
I mean, I'll admit, I think top 8.
Maybe top 8.
But certainly I think there's opportunities here for some of these kids to really improve over the next couple of years. And frankly, there's definitely chances here. And I think the fact that they're getting the support from these schools to do this is such a boon to their opportunities in the esports in South Africa. So once again, kudos to the parents, the schools, everyone involved in making this happen. But yeah, they don't connect with the Nimbus, which means they're diving in deep, and they were all in that snowball. This could backfire. That Warlock, eyes must light up in situations like that. The amount of fatal bonds and infernal damage he can do. They bring in Frodo, he goes in with the Shiva's God. They're going to drop the LT from the Infernal as well as the Skywrath Mage, but they haven't lost anyone just yet. They do lose the Zeus though, and full HP right now on most, but they do lose the Timbersaw. They're going back in though, they want more. Frostbite very low, will fall as well. On the sidelines though, Chris isolated, stunned up, and surely brought down. He's trying to limp up, but he won't find his way over to the Prowler that he wanted to infest. So they bring down all 5 for just the Timbersaw, and once again the buyback status, that's the most important thing here, and the only one available belongs to the Skywrath Mage at this point. The only one in the game.
Why did they take that fight? Oh my goodness, they ran up the hill, fight next to a shrine, they all got clustered in one small area. Easiest fatal bonds of the Warlock's life, ends up dealing 4,000 damage just through that, and some of the additional burn damage. The Timbersaw gets to go ham as well.
I think the call has been made as well. They're skipping the racks, they're skipping tier 2s. Now it's just time to go straight for the throne, and that fortification is just not going to last long enough. There's no way they can make it back in time, and even if they do, they're 81 seconds without their lives to take.
And they have this Desolator sitting on powers right now, so the Ursa with the overpower will be able to get through the health of these towers extremely quickly. Tier 4s will fall, no possible defense will be marshaled. A buyback on Skywrath Mage isn't even, there's no point even, he's back in 10 seconds, Rastra's back in 10, but both of them will be too late. The game is, oh wow, it just happened.
It's actually crazy that's the end. The GG is now final call. I think for those gamers there must be a little moment of real regret there, because that decision to go and take that fight, we should still be playing this game, Stan.
We should still be playing this game. If you're going to ask me, I would say that we should still be in a position where the side of Parklands is poised to win the game. Frankly speaking, the only reason they lost racks at bottom is because they made a mistake. The only reason they ended up losing the game is because they made a mistake. And the only reason they almost died in mid lane and lost the game then is because the Zeus made a bit of too much of an aggressive play. Parklands had this. Parklands had this. And I think that's one of the most difficult things I'm learning about Dota, right? Losing is one thing, winning is one thing, but learning that sometimes the victory is yours and you throw the game. Feels bad. Feels pretty bad.
It must be very challenging. I think there's so much that you learn here, actually. I think it's fantastic that they have really, I mean, there's opportunity. You will never make that mistake again. That exact mistake.
No.
You will learn your lesson very well from that. It's just picking fights that things go wrong, because it starts off with a snowball. If you go back to that, they snowball and they don't kill it. They've also commit the Nimbus, so they're going down into it.
Exactly.
They then walk up high ground where they don't have vision, so they walk straight into a Timbersaw who lines them up with the Shiva's God, and you saw how much work that they commit so much damage on or so much of their attention on trying to bring down the Timbersaw. Able to do so, but at the cost of so much of their resources in the form of HP, mana, and actual spells. So by the time they finish the job, that's great, but the rest of the team is still just breaking down on you. And unfortunately for them, that's a lesson you learn the hardest way in a grand final of a tournament. And don't go up the high ground without vision. Don't commit to fights when you mess up a spell. Like it doesn't matter what spell it is. If you miss a single spell, you back off, because it may be the difference between winning and losing a team fight. And in this case, they mess up 2, the Nimbus and the Snowball, and they just dive in way too deep.
If there was a Snowball, because we also got to see at long last the long duration channel of the Warlock upheaval. If they still have Snowball, you can Snowball past the upheaval. You still have Nimbus Cloud. You can use the Nimbus Cloud to interrupt the Warlock and dish out damage in that area and kill Timbersaw without having to commit all your life to do it. But like you say, now you know. Now you learned the hard way. You're not going to do that again at the very least.
regardless, what a fantastic game. I
Wow.
can't say again, these two sides have done such a good job here in this grand final. I can't wait for the next one. I really do think in our industry, we definitely get to chat a lot about the caster's privilege, which is to be able to pretty much always root for the side that's about to get eliminated when there's a game in hand for their opponents.
Yeah.
So in this case, yeah, I think it's safe to say we'd all love to see Parklands take one back, take us to the full best of 3, and then once again, may the best team win the finals. But easier said than done, of course. Great gaming. Although they looked up against it at times in this one, they still have yet to drop a game in this tournament. So incredibly impressive stuff from them, and still going strong.
Still looking very strong, still defending the high ground quite well, still not making many mistakes when they make high ground pushes, still just clearly showing why we all thought they were going to be the favorites coming into this. It was a hard game, but not every game in Dota is going to be easy. The fact that they won is the important thing. And now they're one game away from not only winning the tournament, but also keeping an undefeated streak while doing it.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I got to say again, as far as Parklands go, there's the age-old adage, some games you win, some games you learn from. I tell you what, you learned a lot from this one.
Yeah.
And there's some mistakes that won't be made again. But anyways, once again, I will be going live with our next game shortly, Seb. But I mean, do you have any predictions? Anything you want to see? Any particular expectations from these two sides?
What I want to see, right, personally, when I think and how I think the series should play out, is I'm hoping that when it comes to Parklands, that when they're talking about what happened in that game, that they don't start blaming each other, say, hey, you did this, say, guys, we all made mistakes collectively. We know what not to do, but we also know what we're doing when it works, right? Because except for the times when they were making mistakes, the game plan was working, how they were approaching the game was working. There's obviously still things that need to be adjusted, to rethought about. But my prediction for this one, I actually think we'll have a longer game, and I think Parklands will take it, the next one.
Well, I hope you're right, because once again, I don't want to go home just yet. Like we mentioned before, this is technically this is an add-on to the end of the year. We spoke about this. I actually asked the main man at VS Gaming himself if this was the beginning of the next year or the end of the past year, obviously referring to our esports season. And he assured me that this was the end of the year. So at this point, this is the last hurrah for all of us here, and I think a fantastic way to go, as you mentioned before, showing the upstarts, the newcomers in the scenes, and what they're capable of, and what potentially the future holds.
Yeah.
And we may be one game away from the end of that. Let's just hope it's 2 instead.
Let's just hope it's 2, maybe even 3, who knows? We'll finish the best of 3 and be like, let's just start again.
Okay, I mean, you know, I'll cast it if you're willing. But I think the teams are taking a bit of a break, so I think we may be throwing to a quick ad in a moment, but
Shout out VS Gaming. Did you see that shirt? It's really nice.
did that just happen?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that going. Well, you know, we have some fun here too as well. But on that note, I think let's enjoy some of the things that have passed. I'll kind of try to convince our VS Game production staff that they'll show us something from the past, something nice. We got the okay. Let's go and see.
The Telkom VS Gaming Masters 2019, it's happening!
It is happening, and we're almost at the finals for the CSGO. We're so excited.
You guys have done so much for gaming here. Just tell me a little bit about that 1.1 million rand that you guys have put down for the winners.
I mean, for us from a Telkom perspective, we've been dedicated around providing esports for gamers, and every year we want to do better and better, and it's about increasing that prize pool, making sure that our winners are acknowledged and becoming the celebrities and giving the attention to esports that it needs.
Telkom's been involved with esports and gaming in general for the last 11 years.
11 years, can you believe it, hey?
I mean, you guys have been very supportive of the gaming community. What are you guys thinking about going forward?
I mean, for us, it's making sure that we're improving year on year. If you look at our displays, every year we want to make sure that we're giving out a much better, spectacular event and making sure that the gamers get the recognition that they want. It is a sport, and it's an exciting sport, it is growing, and we're there as the broadband provider and ensuring that we're improving and ensuring that our services are improving along those lines, yeah.
Are you guys committed to getting behind VS Gaming at Comic-Con for the next couple of years?
Well, from our point of view, it's always about evaluating and seeing how each and every single show goes and ensuring that that we're getting the value.
Esports players aside, what is Telkom doing for the gamers like us that are sitting at home, live streaming or playing games online?
You know what, I think bringing VS Gaming closer to Telkom has allowed us the opportunity to understand where the grid points are for your gamers and what we're looking at. Please, everyone keep a lookout for us. We're building a product for gamers. It's coming out soon. understanding all the problems that you've been having with our network from a service, making sure that you are always on. This is where where we are understanding the key points are, and we definitely, our product propositions, our product teams are working on it, both from an LTE perspective as well as from a fiber perspective. As you know, from a mobile side, we already we are introducing a mobile gaming proposition coming out shortly within the next couple of weeks.
Ooh.
We're committed across all our platforms.
So we'll hear about that later.
It's coming. It's coming.
Telkom is in the broadband space, got two very nice fiber products. The one is a 10 meg line with a lit box, with a Xbox for $7.99. We've also got a 20 meg line, which we've reduced the price from $8.99 to $6.99. And if you add an Xbox to it, you can get it for $8.49, which is a brilliant deal. All right, considering it's a 20 meg line. In terms of LTE, we've got a number of offers on LTE as well, where we've combined the Xbox with the LTE, also specifically for gaming. As far as I know, Telkom has been doing it in the past, they're doing it now, and I'm sure they will continue doing it in the future.
Okay, cool guys, here at Comic-Con 2019, huge upgrade from last year. Here obviously for the VS Gaming tournaments that are going on. VS Gaming's been a great platform for gamers, new and old alike, to come and show their medals, show what they got. It's been such a great platform for us to play throughout the year, come together, show the different guys what we got and how we perform, and then the setup here this year is a massive upgrade.
Well, I think comics drive imagination. So in driving imagination, it allows parents to engage closer with their kids. So I definitely think it's a conversation to encourage, and it's definitely an expansion into exploring life with your kids and having fun and being creative.
Hey guys, I'm Goku. This is Raphael. My name's Graham. This is Leo. I think it's super important that dads encourage their kids to enjoy a day like this. I think it's super important. A lot of my heroes are comic book heroes, and they don't really exist in real life, and this is my one day that I get to celebrate them along with my kids, and they celebrate it with me. So it's a symbiotic relationship, and it's super cool. And you know what, it's such a safe space to do it in, and people enjoy it. And one of my bucket list places to go is Comic-Con New York. So one day, hopefully, I'll get to go there. But I'm so glad it came here to SA. Thank you, SA. It's the best day of the year. Well, 4 days of the year. I've got a weekend pass, so it feels like one long ass day.
You're at the Telkom stand at Comic Con 2019. Basically, what we have on show is the new Xbox One S Digital. What that basically means is that you don't ever have to buy a physical copy of a game ever again. With the 20 meg line that the package comes with, you're able to download 3 free games that we give you, and that's your future. Is that in the future now, you just download games directly to your system. It's got a 1 terabyte hard drive on it, so now you don't even have to wait or go out your house to be able to get the latest new titles, which is a really, really nifty feature. If you don't like that and you want to go with something a bit slower, which is the 10 meg line, what you get is the lit box that comes with it, and that allows you to stream your Netflix, YouTube, DSTV catch-up and Showmax. So it literally turns any TV into a smart TV. So those are some of the things we've got on the go. Obviously in Hall 3, it's the Masters currently going for CSGO and Dota. So as far as Telkom is concerned, we've got something on the retail side for people who are seeing what's happening on that side and want to join in. We've got the technology for them to be able to do that. And then of course, just crowning the best of the best as far as those 2 titles are concerned.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Potentially the last game here. It's been
Don't say that.
potentially. Well, we got to keep it real. I mean,
Fake news.
I think we're certainly in this for one more. So we'll be wishing all the best to Parklands to give us the 3rd game. Once again, caster's privilege. We always get to back the team that gives us 1 extra game. I think that's the best way to say it. And this will be that 1 extra game potentially. And Parklands could certainly do it. I think they showed that they are a fine side. Grey Gaming have done naught but impressed. They've been a fantastic team to watch throughout this tournament, and it's almost a pity that we haven't been able to see more of them throughout this year, because I would love to almost have tracked this from the beginning of the year to the end. But perhaps a year from now we'll be having another conversation talking about these teams, how much they've improved, and frankly, what a privilege it's been to be having been invited by the likes of VS Gaming to take part in this. It is really a special event.
Yeah, this is a special event in terms of how they qualified, or not qualified, the invitation to be here to participate in this fashion. But I'm pretty sure at some point we're going to be seeing them qualify under their own banner, under their own power, getting themselves into more tournaments, getting themselves into the upper echelons, and not just playing with other schools, but playing like in a super professional setting. I'm pretty hyped up. And also, I think that not only was this the closest series that we've seen so far, right? This is also the game where both of these teams have just showed the most promise, I think, going forward. And this is the kind of game where both of them have to adapt the most to what the other is doing. I mean, already, you see immediate adaptation. Wisp, first ban. It's like, nah, sorry.
I'm not dealing with this again. And of course, that trick often only works once. Remember, there's a lot left in the pool here that still can give you some surprises. We've seen Broodmothers already, not from either of these sides. But there are some tricky heroes that you may have to contend with.
Look what they banned from Grey Gaming. They take out Wisp Bristleback. So they're like, Parklands, they won with Wisp Bristleback yesterday. So they're like, yeah, let's not give you that option. And they lead in with the Skyrath Mage. Skyrath almost saved the game for them in the previous game. So I am 100% in favor of this one.
It's going to be immediate pickup of the mag as well as the Shadow Shaman. So the first time potentially we're actually seeing not first 2 cores picked up by a team. Grey pick up a potential utility. And by the way, this is actually when you and I speak about this is often the reason why is that you lock yourself in. In this case, you pick up the mag and the Shadow Shaman. That mag can be a 4-position mag potentially. So you're opening up your draft a lot better. And something I hope that a lot of teams will take out of this is just giving a little bit of extra thought to more flexible picks in their first phase. Because as we see here, the Skyrath and Line pickup means that you've dedicated your support duo. There's very little chance of that being anything but support. Although last time around, the Skyrath showed that with some items you can also do some damage. So who knows?
Yeah, Skyrath can just decide to give him the farm priority. But also, you can just be like, dude, just do exactly what you did in the previous game again, and it'll be okay.
And we'll do something slightly different.
Yeah, it's slightly different. But you do the same thing. It's fine. It's chilled over there.
Yeah, I think really, and you don't want to over-criticize an individual, but it's sometimes easy to see when such an important player is brought down, the effect that it has. And sometimes protecting your life when you're doing so much good work is really, really important. And that's kind of what happened with UIF. He was So do you know the moment we were talking earlier about like when something strange happens at a venue, just go with it.
You just go with it. Yes, well, yeah.
Because now there's basically trumpets here. I don't know. I think there was just.
Hey man, I guess we're playing. Hey, don't we always say sometimes that the game gets clowny? So
there we go. We've
got the sound effects for it as well, so it's all good.
Okay. Anyways, I guess one of the other things to explain to you viewers, obviously in a LAN environment, strange things happen.
Yeah.
There's never been an event where something strange hasn't happened. I just threw my mind back to Comic-Con because I think, what happened at Comic-Con? And then I remembered it's there.
Many
so
things.
there was that one time. Remember that one time in the grand final when we had to pause?
A small pause just because a screen or two went down.
And by a screen or two, we mean everything in the arena. So certainly have some interesting things that occur. This is really interesting as well, though. Elder Titan picked up by Parklands.
Yeah.
I like that.
I actually like this as well. This is almost certainly going to be the hero being played by Zarkun. From what we saw in the previous game, he's comfortable playing these sort of high-strength, supporty type heroes that you can just put into the off-lane, give them more utility items. And Elder Titan can do really well with items and farm. Amazing hero in the lane as well. Very difficult to actually bring down consistently. And I think one of the huge things, natural order is going to be insane this game. Just already with the Lion and the Scarlet Mage. The amount of magic damage is going to be dished out is kind of preposterous. Magnus is not really a hero that likes to buy the Pipe of Insight either. And not in the same way as with the Centaur. So, and you still have the potential, if you really want to, can go back for the Zeus that you already had some very good success with. Doesn't really interrupt what the other heroes are doing in this game.
No, I quite like this. Also, just interesting because we haven't seen it. It's interesting to see what they can do. Oh, yes, please.
Oh.
Sorry, my train of thought interrupted there because one of my favorites, one of my babies coming out on the field, Rubik. Literally a treat to watch. Once again, for those of you who are tuning in, perhaps new, perhaps you have friends playing this tournament and you just out here to support them. Get ready for some fantastic there. Rubik is one of the most impressive heroes on the battlefield when used well. I'm really interested to see what they can do. Also, one of the heroes are very close to my heart, one of my competitive choices.
Yep.
So I really want to see what you guys can do with Rubik. Please impress me. And what an option, what a bouquet of spells to enjoy. You have so much coming out of all of these units. Maybe you don't want the Spirit from Elder Titan or the Stomp. Not a great one, but he does offer the Split Earth, which is fantastic to get. Of course, everything from Lion's spells is great. Even the Mana Drain can be very useful in the right environment. And Skyrath just built to be stolen from with the Rubik.
Yeah. And especially because as Rubik, you have 0 cost points. So the Mana Drain, one of the negative drawbacks of Mana Drain Online is that it has such a long animation to start actually activating. With Rubik, it's instant, so you drain a lot more mana away. And when you take spells from Skyrath Mage, you have Arcane Supremacy as well as the Rubik. So you do an absurd amount of damage, a shocking amount. They get the Tusk too, so is this mid-Elder Titan? No, it surely has to be mid-Skyrath Mage, right? Like, surely mid-Skyrath Mage,
Yeah, I
Lion,
can't
ET
imagine you
support,
run
and then Tusk off lane.
both Elder Titan and Tusk as cores. That is
Sort of one or the other.
very unusual, but maybe they are. But potentially like a... the thing, okay, so I think what makes most sense is you put Skyrath mid, Elder Titan or Tusk run as your 4 position, Lion's your 5.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I prefer that. I suppose the Scarlet Mage is going to replace what the Zeus was doing in game number 1. And maybe you don't want to take the risk of having Zeus's spells get stolen by the Rubik.
What do they pick as number 5? You desperately need a consistent amount of physical damage. I'm almost thinking something like a sniper at this point, where you just need that reliable, just hard-hitting unit. I doubt it will be a sniper, but that's the thing that pops out of mind. Something that's hard to get on top of, who can consistently deal damage from anywhere. I wonder, Snare, you're probably the right man to ask. Is there anything that you would like to see? Do you agree with my line of thinking?
Sniper would actually be good because they actually they just need physical damage, something that's going to stay out of the fight for the most part and take advantage of the space created by the ET, Tusk, Scareth Mage, etc. They probably won't go for Sniper. What are they going to do? This actually might be one of those games where we do see that Weaver come out, because Rubik is, you're not happy about having the Swarm, these Sakuchi stolen, but there's nobody else in this game that really threatens you if you're playing this Weaver hero. But honestly, I just want something that does a massive amount of physical damage. So whether or not be Weaver, I could even see the Phantom Assassin being available here. Unfortunately, you don't have the Magnus to help buff you up, but you do have Elder Titan.
They banned it out as well themselves. So.
Oh, did they ban it? Okay, yeah, they did.
Terrorblade, maybe?
TB has issues against the Magnus, but he's very good against Lifestealer. One of the better heroes in the game against LS. So yeah, that could be an option. They could maybe go for the Lycan, because that's not terrible versus the Lifestealer either.
Parkland's certainly keeping us guessing on this side, and I like it. I like it because if we're guessing, Grey are also guessing. They're not sure exactly what's happening. We spoke about having that utility. Perhaps that's exactly what they did. And it looks like it's going to be the gyrocopter. So Oh, I don't know. See, I would have hoped for something with a little bit more of a punch, but it certainly is a physical damaging. It is a hero that can provide a lot of physical damage, but it is a little bit more reliant on its own magical prowess as well. Won't take you into the super late. Something like a lifestealer, when he gets on top of you, have real problems, but does answer at least one of those questions for us, and that will provide some AoE spread of physical damage.
I think that's actually interesting with the Gyrocopter, because I'm thinking about the interaction with Gyro and Elder Titan. Primarily because, generally, like you mentioned, that Gyrocopter relies a lot on its own magical damage and needs a lot of farm before his physical damage does anything, primarily in the form of getting the Aghanim Scepter as soon as possible. However, in this game, both sources of Gyrocopter's damage, early game is going to get buffed up by the ET's magical natural order, and as the game goes later, the physical damage buff up is going to help a lot. I think Gyro, and it's a hero that wants to be playing around his team. I think the last thing that they would want is to pick a hero like, say, Slock or whatever, that wants to run around by himself, not be involved in engagement with his lineup. Here, you just want to be S5. There's no way that they want to be playing this game separate from one another. And there's so much tankiness. My God. Like, the only squishy hero here that is going to die often is going to be the Lion and maybe Skywrath Mage. But ET Tusk with Gyrocopter, you can buy BKB on Gyro, we can even frontline for you. And there's not that much damage actually from Grey Gaming. They have Magnets with Lifestealer, but beyond that, they don't really have much burst themselves. So everyone should always be able to get off a BKB or something like that. And can you imagine if you get caught with the Split Earth after you get called down? It's just going to be... Woof.
Yeah, I mean, there is some potential here. I mean, also, potentially you get caught out in a scenario where you're trying to engage onto one particular unit. Notice that they do have the likes of the Mags, so they go for another melee core. It's very possible to be trying to dedicate to a kill, and he gets walked straight into that Split Earth. But it's going to be the Silencer, so it won't be melee at all. And I quite like it. That is a very disruptive hero. You obviously can imagine that they want to fight around that Earth Splitter, and both Earth Splitter and the cooldown become a high sign for your team. Just drop down the silence, make sure that your opponents aren't able to get all of those spells off into a small area. Something like the Roche Pit, for example. If you get caught out there when you're trying to take a Roshan, you are in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
But honestly, I gotta say, I kind of prefer Grey's draft in this one. I feel like there's a lot for the Rubik to steal and work with. The only question mark that I think will turn my decision either way, personally, is how well does the Silence actually perform?
Yeah.
Because if he's on point, if he gets good globals out, if he's dealing a lot of damage from the backlines and positions himself well, he can really be a true menace in this matchup. If he doesn't perform, though, then I swing the entire other way and say that this one goes the way of Parklands.
Yeah, this Silencer is basically all about what this game is going to be. Whether Grey Gaming succeeds or not is going to be on the basis of him. We're going to have to see how he performs in the middle lane. He's going to be going up against a Gyrocopter, I think. And Gyro Silencer, surprisingly, the matchup for the first 4 levels is Gyrocopter favored. And then afterwards, Silencer starts to become really annoying. But you can basically just keep yourself farmed up with the homing missile. But you're right that this is going to be a game all about how you're a Frodo, who he catches with the silencers, how often he's able to make it happen, especially considering that there's only going to be 1 BKB that I'm expecting to be built on UIF. Probably 2 Yuleses, one on the Skywrath Mage and one on the ET. And also, they are actually playing ET and Tuskar as core heroes in this game. Gyrocopter is, as much as we might say Silencer is going to determine whether or not the Grey is going to turn this into a 2-0, whether or not we go to a third game will depend almost primarily upon the performance of UIF on this Gyrocopter.
I agree with you totally. It's going to be interesting as well. I think this mid lane matchup, as you mentioned, is quite interesting. We've seen how important the mids have been in this tournament so far, so we'll see who manages to take one. Eurofredo also looking very solid in these lanes. May the best team win once more. But I also want to point out, I think a competitive nature of this game as well has been very good. We've seen the Ruin contest also be quite interesting early on. I'm interested to see if we see a repeat of it. I don't think the likes of your Elder Titan are awful at going into these early stages, but I definitely would say that I would favor the likes of a Lifestealer and a Shadow Shaman potentially. Let's see what he went for actually. He still held on to spells, so does have options, but it'll be interesting to see if they do try to contest or if they're happy just to get their own sides. On the other side of the river, though, the Mag and Rubik versus the Tusk and the Lion, that's definitely going to favor the Tusk and the Lion. They drop out the tag team, very skilled at he knows. And I think you're a big fan of this. Like, well done, you get first blood, but you lose the lane when you don't take this thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tusk with tag team is really, really powerful early on.
Literally the best. I think it's actually the best level 1 skill in Dota right now. It's so good. And very, very correct that he didn't decide to lose the game by leveling up Ice Shot or Snowball. Tag team is the one. Now scouting out the lanes. They know what's going to be happening here. I think there's also one thing that we have to take into account that's going to be very, very scary. Empower, when eventually given towards Silencer, with the additional damage of the Glaives of Wisdom, given that it's a core Silencer, is going to hurt a lot. So this is going to be one of those rare games where in the midst of team fights, the Silencer might be the priority for the Empower rather than the Lifestealer getting the cleave.
And particularly once again, if the game does go very late, we saw again, those stacks of intelligence really do add up on the Silencer. And you'd expect that he'll be in a position to get lots of kills. Solo mid-Silencers get a lot of experience, and they do pack a punch very early on.
Makes a lot of damage happen, makes it a lot easier. But, as you say, it's going to take a while before we get to that point. For now, still just going to be a farm fest primarily for both teams, where they're just going to be trying to get as much of an advantage as humanly possible. We see a lot of harass coming out of bottom onto the Skywrath Mage. They're just trying to make sure that Powers has space to farm. And this is one thing that the Grey Gaming has made sure to do as much as humanly possible. Open up space for Powers to be able to get CS and lost hits. And let's compare and contrast his build rather than what we saw in the previous game from Quiz. He's going just straight up for the Hand of Midas into the Radiance, I imagine. So he wants to play a little bit more for the late game, ensure that there is possibility of doing damage as things scale up.
I'm really worried about the fact that there's so much reliance on UAF here. I was just thinking about the fact that as the mid, he's got few options available to him to like really make sure that this thing goes well. He does have what is nice. He has also a great attack animation in Gyrocopter, so you expect that he does have a great opportunity here to shine in this mid position. But it is a bit of a gamble, because if he does fall behind the Silencer and he has to play catch-up, you have some real problems. I would love to see as well rotations from the likes of Frostbite, making sure that he's put some stacks up for the gyro, especially in this general area here. The map just allowing this connection to occur, stand in the middle, flat cannon, make sure we get all three involved, and even potentially in their own tri-stack as well, and perhaps even more importantly, this triangle farm over here on this side of the map will provide a huge influx of gold for the Gyrocopter.
Yeah, the Gyro is the be-all, end-all. That one benefit of the rest of the team, though, is that if they're all in focus on the Gyrocopter, the rest of the team can spend the majority of their time just running around and fighting and not really trying to concern themselves with the farming operations of the map. And just farm heroes instead as the way that you get gold going in this game. But that's still, it's a risk inherently involved, right? That does mean that if Gyrocopter in any capacity gets shut down, then you basically can't play this game. Zakun did snowball forward onto the Magnus. I think just trying to remind him that he's around here. Say, hey fam, I'm here. This top is actually going to be quite boring, because now that he has these points into Empower, Lucas van Rooyen is always going to be able to farm between this and the Shockwave and get what he needs to get out of the lane itself. And I doubt we'll be seeing any real kills happening. If they try to kill the Tusk and the Lion, Ice Shards will probably keep them safe with an Impale as well. And if they try to get a kill in the opposite direction, there's a Skewer and a Telekinesis. So they're going to harass each other, everybody, but it's going to be fairly boring.
A hard kill kill. I think the greatest threat is probably the Lion, the two supports, where you overstep your bounds, get caught up by Ice Shards, and you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Especially with the Telekinesis, so you can reposition it so nicely for your mag. Just literally pick up the target, throw him on the other side. But he actually is the one who's going to find himself in trouble. They snowball as well. They bring in both, though, so potentially they can turn this one around. The Telekinesis is good. They're going to get both as well. Leonard survives, and it was thanks to a beautiful play by the both with the Telekinesis back and the Shockwave. But the mistake there really is bringing in the Lion into the snowball. Well, just because you can doesn't mean you should. The Lion actually lost an opportunity to do additional damage and was brought into a position where he was under a lot of threat from the Shockwave. Once he fell, 2 versus 1 made it a lot easier, and that changes the scope of things entirely.
Now it's 2 kills going the way of this Magnus. Mag now level 3, getting caught up to by Zakun. They're going to try go on to Leonard again.
So if they can some of the Telekinesis is there. They're using tag to try to bring him down. If you go for the Fade Bolt, should finish off at least one. They also got the Hex onto that Magnus. He's trying to delay any further damage. Shockwave is nice though, and will allow him to set up for additional bit of cleave damage. But a good response, a very necessary response as well.
Yeah. Being able to
bottom lane, sorry, Chris, in some trouble here as the raged up Powers will try to finish off this job. Doesn't quite have the legs to catch up to the Elder Titan, but Tropsy may fall instead here. Very low. Can they finish the job? No mana on the Shadow Shaman, but able to run him down regardless.
While that was happening though, Lucas van Rooyen got brought down in the top lane. As soon as they recognize that, wait, there's no support for him and they're chasing our Skywrath Mage bottom, they make that move, they get that kill. They're going to end up losing out on the bounty runes on the side of Grey Gaming right now. On the side of Parklands, excuse me, Grey Gaming is going to pick up at least 3. They're going to get all 4, in fact.
And that is a huge boon once more. Just bringing up all of that gold. fantastic for them. And once more, they desperately need this win to stay alive in this competition.
Yeah. There are no more second chances. Every game out from here on out has to be a victory. And they got some decent success that they were able to find top, but need to keep some of these things going elsewhere. We see at bottom Yusuf getting off the D ward, making sure that there's no available vision for Chopsy and Kiwi.
Well, look at that damage from the Elder Titan. Obviously, using that Astral Titan buff, making sure he just keeps beating down Powers. Powers really did get hurt. He does now pop out with the Rage, and they want to try and find a kill on Chris, but they realize that the lights will fall if they try to commit to it. The stump comes out, Yusuf though gets off the Hex as well. Chris tries to run him down. We'll get a little bit of extra damage, but the healing self did come out of the light city. He's interested in potentially going back into this one, but that Elder Titan not to be trifled with. Frostbite though finds a self-kill at top lane. They try to run down Zarkoon, but forced back thanks to the tower.
Yeah. They might try to get onto Quiz to get off the shackles.
Once again, the shackles there. Can they finish the job? They're going to go in with a stomp. Is in fact there. But might meet.
Body block him, body block him, body block him. Okay, I guess the body blocks are necessary. Powers can't keep up, and they end up running away with Quiz. The Elder Titan will survive at bottom. And they keep having
UIF
dancing.
gets brought down.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a +2. Eurofrodo manages to find an important kill. Then once again, that's something to keep an eye on. The stolen intelligence, when that gets really high, it really becomes very painful.
Yeah, and also it's in a situation where the more that starts to stack up against the gyrocopter, the less available spells will be there for the gyro, because less intelligence means less mana pool leads less overall magical damage. So unfortunately, that is a kill that's gonna somewhat change the game. Not fundamentally, but it's still gonna add some complications that they didn't necessarily need in order to continue playing as they are. Although on the bright side, that kill doesn't actually get anything else on the map. It's just a kill onto the silencer. He's ahead of the CS on the gyrocopter, but not that much. Gyro should still be able to catch up after a wave or two, and it seems like that's what's going to happen now. And it'll only take one engagement before gyrocopter is resolutely ahead anyway. So far, this game is definitely in the favor, though, of Grey Gaming. And top, oh, they're going to lose Lucas. Lucas is dead.
Well, Lucas caught out with very nice ice shards again. Can they finish the job though? They get the Hex out, double tag is there, and they do manage to finish him off. And they're going to find a little bit more here potentially. Leonard does get support coming in. It's a silence as well, so big rotation. They need to find something from this, but telekinesis isn't cooldown, so they won't do so. Yusuf in the bottom lane though, he's going to find a kill instead.
Yeah, brings down Quiz on the Elder Titan. There is a homing rocket that's chasing Eurofrodo Harry top. And as it catches, it's actually going to go on him. Oh my god.
Silence comes out though. Eurofrodo wants to finish off the job in Tusk. May just be enough damage to do so. Not quite. Beautiful double impale comes out, stopping the telekinesis, any kind of further engagement. And fortunately, they're not able to find the kills they desperately need.
But now, the big issue of why this hero isn't often picked up as a core hero. You leveled up the global silence at level 11. You used it. Didn't really achieve anything with it. But now it's going to be down for yet another 100 seconds. So they're going to have many more aggressive opportunities on the map. And UTP top.
Backstab the Lion in the top lane, but can they finish the job? He's very low. The cooldown's there. This will probably come at the expense of their Rubik at the very least. But once again, they did commit a full core, making it that rotation. And unfortunately, not a huge amount in it. Had they got a little bit more, may have been in business.
They might get Yusuf down at bottom. Kiwi's, okay, now they're just trying to grab this creep wave away from him. Yeah, so both cores end up rotating to the top side of the map. They might end up just switching up and being the ones to take up the majority of the farm in these areas. So huge rotations from everybody, but only one kill happens for either of these cores. UIF.
That could be problematic. He's going to be skewed into. They commit the RP as well, and that should be enough. You can see him getting himself into the right side, get a couple of extra hits with the body block, and they find yet more intelligence onto Eurofrodo, and a very important pick-off on that call.
Yeah, it was kind of a super aggressive move from him. From UIF.
Chops in trouble bottom lane as well. He gets caught up by the shackle. It is the supports coming. They're going to get some support from the Tusk coming in as well. But there is a Powers Lifestealer trying to help out. In comes Crystal with a nice stomp. Will keep his support alive. But Zarkoon also needs to get back out. Look at the damage. Every chomp coming out from that Elder Titan. Has to back off. Also gets caught up by the Fade Bolt though. Very quick is the Elder Titan at the moment. But unable to find the kills that he desperately wants. UIF also makes his way to the bottom lane now. It does have the homing missile. May try to find engage with somebody. They back commit here onto the Rubik. Deep in they go. They also will toss out that rocket. Should connect. Should be enough to finish the job. They tossed on the cooldown just to make sure as well. In comes a Stomp. Will buy a little bit more time. They're doing a lot of damage to Powers. He will pop out with the Infest. Survives for the time being. A lot of damage once more delivered by the flak cannon of UIF. This time the rotation, I'd say better, but still not quite finding enough to make it worth his time.
Yeah, like the gyrocopter's time is really worthwhile. Can't really be spending as much movement, not really getting kills. Needs to be primarily concerned with farming right now. Farming heroes is nice, but just farm creeps, they're just as good. They might get Yusuf now though, but then there are supports in tow. UIF probably doesn't want to be here. Has his rocket barrage stolen away as well. And in the time that he's spending here with his boys, we do see Magnus very happily soaking up XP in the top lane, in the mid lane, Eurofrodo just getting more and more ahead. He's right now top 2 in overall net worth. So if they don't claim this tier 2 to tier 1 tower or get a kill very, very soon, this movement that UIF made bottom is largely going to be a waste. And it looks like he feels like this might be the occurrence right now. We'll go back, farm some jungle, but he's probably going to leave this bottom lane right now.
On mid, they actually got a handy kill here. The global silence also popped. We mentioned that this was going to be a very important spell, but all it really did was prevent Frostbite from potentially picking up the kill with a Finger of Death if he wanted it. But early on, he'd be happy to save that for some more damage later. Double damage not working out for UI. If he wanted to find a way to backstab that bottom lane, but unfortunately not finding the positioning that he was looking for.
Yeah, this should still be able to pick up the tower. It's going to take longer than it needed to, but he's the one that still gets the last hit. And they'll be okay with that. They're the first team to get a tower on the map. Looks like they are going to try and counter this out, though, on the side of Grey Gaming. They rotate up the silencer to the top lane. Frostbite was sitting here collecting experience, but he's almost certainly going to find himself losing his life. Been spotted out by this Observer Ward right now, which still has a decent duration on it. So unless Frostbite... Oh, he doesn't even have a TP scroll. He's 100% dead. He's going to try and waste that time, but there's no
what's
way.
going on. The Silence has shown himself out now, but not aware of what exactly is waiting for him. And it's all 4 of the heroes here. Only 1 missing. They do TP in the gyro, but he decides against it. He realizes this is not the right fight. A really good stun coming out. Does he want this? I think he was looking for potentially the cross kill onto Yusuf Shadow Shaman, but wasn't quite able to get the damage out that he required, and accordingly sent to his grave. But I like the fact that UIF identified this wasn't the fight he needed, wasn't going to get the support he wanted, and backed off and just kept farming in the bottom lane.
That's the right thing to do. There's no way you were going to actually save this tier 1 tower. And even then, Yusuf hasn't committed the mass open hold. So without mass open hold, their tower take without Lifestealer being nearby is actually kind of garbage. So this is taking much longer.
Blink Dagger has been revealed on Lucas. Snowball will come out though. Chris trying to bring down what he can. Drops a stomp and survives the time being. They find the kill onto the Magnus. What was stolen was something from the Skywrath Mage.
Nice.
A concussive shot. Now, Leonard on the wrong side of this fight, but he does have the Serpent Wards to walk around. Zarkun, though, will not fall just yet. He wants to desperately survive through this, but it's going to be the Silencer versus the Lion. Lion coming out on top of that one, but Leonard, the original occupant of that fight, now manages to find himself another kill, and actually will boost him quite significantly. He'll be able to finish off that Arcane Boot, and he'll be very happy with how that worked out personally, but it was a 3-for-3 trade, and I think possibly favoring Parklands in this case, since they were behind.
And they're the ones that claimed the kill on the Magnus and the Silencer. Whilst all that was happening to UIF was just calmly farming, other side of the map, finishes off his full drums of endurance, can keep going towards getting the SNY. So it's going to be, I don't think he should go SNY. This should definitely be an Aghanims game that he goes for, just so he has that easily available damage versus powers. Should be Aghanims into Maelstrom, I imagine. Is probably the best build here, but you know, it's still fine for him to be doing this. At the end of the day, though, each time that this keeps happening, middle.
They have a pretty good engagement here, and the silence does come out, but they're going to surely finish off Leonard, and do manage to do so, but they want some kind of return kill here. Not finding it. They're the ice shots. They do connect. They connect beautifully. Zakunu interrupted with a little bit of help. But in the back lines, Lucas gets everybody. They destroy most of them. But the snowball saves them for now. But it won't be for long because they find all 3 of their victims now. As the Skywrath Mage surely will fall. And it will be the Silencer's Glaives that finish the job. But what an RP from Lucas.
That was such a great RP. Lucas van Rooyen, what a player, making sure that he sticks in the backline, waits for the correct opportunity, and involves the rest of his team there. I don't know about that fight, though. It feels like Parklands, he's fine. Yeah, he won't die.
He was in range for that skewer for a moment, but
yeah, he was.
He opted to back off. No need to overplay your hands. Those heroes are respawning in just a moment. Gyrocopter coming out on the front side. This could be a problem
Why?
here. They're going to pull him straight back. This is a mistake. Can they bail him out of harm's way there? They're trying to do everything they can, but Gyros, though, drops the call down. Should still be deleted from this game. They get the Walrus Punch off into Silencer. That's still an important kill. Can they get some more out of this? Zarkon got the double tag, the tag team up. We needs to find something. They do get the tag off onto Powers, but he's very quick. Will have the rage available as well. So they have to change their attention to Yusuf. Gets off the Hex, starts moving away from his ally, trying to minimize the amount of death there. And he even buys a little bit of extra time with a shackle. Can they find Leonard? No. He'll even pick up a bounty rune for his trouble and survive that engagement. So certainly not as much as Parklands needed out of that engagement.
Yeah, they needed to be getting a lot more out of that. Man, the Gyrocopter, why would he TP a little bit too far forward there? So UIF has had a really good performance earlier today, but it seems like maybe some of the pressure's getting to him. Just take a breath, my friend. Relax. Need to be playing, and we have to remember in the situation that because UIF is the only hero that matters. Did he get it? Who got it?
It did go the way of Lucas, but Frostlight still pulling him down. They didn't finish the job though. Committed the Finger of Death, but unfortunately for him, not enough damage to kill him, and therefore Lucas will be able to limp this one off, and he'll probably activate the Shine potentially if he wants to keep fighting.
Oh no, better yet, there's regen rune.
I don't know if you saw it, but he did activate the Shine, and they don't actually deny it as well. Right in front of UIF size. Won't matter too much, didn't really need much from it. But also interesting, by the way, the build seems to have changed on the Gyrocopter. They're now looking for the BKB instead of the Sunjin Yasha.
I'm better off with that, honestly. I think you definitely do need BKB this game. I don't think SNY would be the right way to go. Maybe BKB Butterfly, BKB Ags. Just don't buy SNY. I feel like the time that if you're not going to be using Yasha at already 15 minutes, there's probably no point to picking that item up. But they just need time right now. So UIF, somebody on the team needs to just tell him, yo, if we're fighting, don't show up. Go farm. Go do your thing that side. We'll call you if we need you.
Oh, if they pick up Powers here, they're so nearby him. And what an important kill will be. He's going for the Radiance build, but hasn't got a courier in range of the shop just yet. So if they find him, it would be significant. Because once he has the Radiance up and running, and it is looking to be a really good timing, Powers will be a monumental problem. He's actually used Infest as well, but there's not enough around. You really need the Walrus. He's the guy who's got the BKB disabling ulti.
Is he going to catch him in the shards? No, he will not. Sadly, they wanted to try and find him, but Zarkun wasn't able to connect with the movement quickly enough, so Powers ends up surviving. Will back himself away. Almost has this Radiance online, which is definitely going to have a huge impact on how this game is going to go. Because once Radiance is online, if Gyrocopter does not have access to the BKB, a huge portion of the damage that Gyro deals also going to get taken off the table. So they do need to make sure that they keep tabs on Powers, but man, we've seen already that the Grey has been the team with the better vision across the map. There's a lot of defensive wards that exist right now for Parkland, but it's not the kind that you necessarily want when you're just trying to accelerate your Gyrocopter, especially not when he's going for this much more aggressive fighting build.
Visibility on the slices as well as he makes his way down towards Scarlet Mage in bot lane. Does fortunately back off. They did have a lot of wards, a lot of visions. They saw exactly what was happening there, and he's not going to stick around, get himself into any kind of trouble. He's finished up with 3 nulls. We saw him go for the same build in the previous matchup. He's looking next for that draw of 8. So got to be careful. Powers is still around, and this could get him a little bit closer to that age. He's waiting this one. The patience here of the man. Waiting to see what else shows up, but Powers is going to do this. Patience from Powers indeed, staying right outside. There's your line, and now he does turn onto Tropsy. Certain that no one's around to finish the job. He managed to thieve through him, but can he survive the pursuing engagement here? They know he's in the back creep, but they're pushing the wave.
Yeah, I think you just back off there. Just let that one go. They're going to lose the Lion as well. I'm pretty sure that Frostbite is dead. Yeah, Frostbite's dead.
No, he's okay.
Oh, it's actually, I'm very surprised. I thought the Magnus was going to blink directly on his face, slow him down with a shockwave, and allow him to get the kill. Also, I was saying that Magnus isn't a traditional pipe buyer. Lucas van Rooyen still recognizes that a pipe is going to be very, very good this game, so he's going to pick this item up. Going to drastically reduce what Skyrat Mage is capable of. And in this game, unlike in Game 1, it's going to come out very, very soon. So it comes out at the stage of the game where it's still at premium usage.
Powers on the front line, not scared of taking some tower shots, setting up for his creep wave. Call down is used. On the back line, so they do find an important target. The Elder Titan, he did get his ulti off first, but can they make something of this? Can they save it? RP on the back lines only connects one. They're going to pull them towards the Serpent Wars. On the sidelines, in comes the Tusk Snowball. They pick up one, but they should be able to finish off Yusuf. Can they get the last of it? They can, but they're going to lose a couple here. And Frodo is loving this because he's been involved in all of these kills. Wants a little bit more though as they try to bring down UIF. He's speeding away, still fairly tanky, still fairly fast, but he's being pounded down, and the Shockwave does connect. Can they finish the job? UIF able to get onto the high ground, but the rage comes out, and the slow comes out, and the death comes out too, because Powers in the front line will get that last hit, the last requirement. It becomes a 4-for-2 trade, and they probably finish off this tier 1 tower as well if they want. They're going to back up for sure and get a couple of bounty runes. Right now, Grey looking poised to win this tournament.
Wow, Grey looking so much better in game number 2 than in game 1. Have improved, playing a lot faster, and we mentioned that the silencer is going to be one of the key conditions of their victory. He's sitting now with 26 stolen intelligence at 20 minutes in. Absurdly farmed. And at this point, he's about to finish the Hurricane Pike. He actually has it, just needed to be delivered off the courier.
Forced off means he's now quite immune to the likes of the Ice Shards, which have been doing a significant amount of work in this series so far.
But yeah, Tusk does nothing now to the silencer, and if there are not multiple heroes caught inside the Ice Shards, you know, if it's just one hero, they're always going to get 4-staffed out. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Rubik also started building towards a 4-staff just to depress the efficacy of the Tuskar even further.
Also a hero that truly shines on abilities, so I would not be surprised at all if he does opt to do that. Actually, a lot of these players don't queue up the items. Which is,
oh yeah, just buy them.
Yeah, they just wait for them to queue, so interesting to see regardless.
That's confidence, man. That's like, oh, I'm going to get the gold and then I'm going to go buy this item. I'm not going to get ganked and have to spam a quick buy just to make sure I escape with reliable gold.
I think maybe it's probably better just have the item.
Live life on the edge. You know, you have to live dangerously sometimes.
Pause does come out. I'm kind of looking up towards the CSGO actually for the information available there, because it does seem that the CSGO has come to an end. I'm curious to find out who won, but congratulations to whichever side has come out on top. And of course, you know, we still have our grand finals going on over here, so if you're moving over from the A stream to join us in the Dota 2, you're finding yourself in an interesting position here with both these two sides competing very well, but certainly Grey looking like they're quite keen to finish this 2-0.
Yeah, Grey are definitely ahead at this point in time. I do kind of feel like one of the key issues that Parklands has been experiencing is not having an idea of who they want to be fighting at any given time. So they kind of seem split between, do we want to just hyper farm on the gyrocopter and let them soak up into our side of the map, come fight us, or do we want to catch them out when they make mistakes? So they're ready now to go again. Hopefully this small pause also gave them some time to think about how to approach the game going forward. And they're also really struggling with initiation, because this was kind of what we were worried about when we were looking at the draft, right? One of the reasons why we're saying it's uncertain that they'll pick both Quiz on Elder Titan as well as a core Tuskar is both of these heroes can sort of give you the same function when they're a core hero. They don't do anything particularly novel that is worth giving a whole lot of farm priority to. So as a result, both of them getting farm priority, yeah, you don't really have a situation where you feel like your team has backup. You only have very few options. Your initiation has very limited options. Your team fighting capacity has limited options. And if UIF isn't doing well under these circumstances, there's no way that the team can win out.
Lion has found himself in an awkward position. He's very visible. Lucas kind of keen to have a piece of him, but he'll back off, not too certain exactly where his opponent's cores are. I think a big thing as well is that these two towers are giving a lot of space for the side of Grey. Obviously, this top tower in particular not deemed very important. However, it is just another place where you can get in quickly around the map. But more importantly, this mid tower certainly needing to be brought down to gain access to this side of the ramp, give yourself more options where you can move. Right now, obviously, this off lane tower, not so important, but the mid one gone, and safe lane as well. So this entire section here opened up quite nicely for Grey.
Not only that area of the map, they also have fewer places for Parkland that they can contest Roshan in. The tier 1 tower on Dire side is the most important Rosh contest.
Oh, that is not the right call at all. He's going to be controlled here. Can he find at least something out of this? They get off a pretty decent Earth Splitter, but there's zero follow-up whatsoever. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication. I'm not too sure why he went in, but does mean that their instant disabler, who does have a blink table up, is unable to contribute for the next 30 seconds.
And he's going to just have to watch from the sidelines as his team tries to continue farming. They came down like they wanted to maybe help him out, but I do think another thing that they need to take into account is when you're 10k gold behind, obviously they can't see the gold graph, so they don't know how far behind they are. But they've been bleeding kills and losing engagements for quite some time. So whenever that's happening, it's very important to never fight on the enemy side of the map unless you can genuinely help it. The hero gets caught out, let them die, let them fall. You'll come back later. But look where these two heroes are hiding. Silencer.
They're hoping they can find somebody who's just farming around here, and they may just find UIF. They do
Oh,
find
no.
him. They pull him back, and of course, a lot of damage available. He's going to drop down the cooldown, potentially going the wrong way, actually. Ice Shot's come out, going to block things up, but Yusuf catches that one with that shackle, and the stolen cooldown as well will deal some damage. They finish the job, and once more, it's the Silencer who finds kills. They're going to commit the Serpent Wards to this tier 2 tower. 2 down as well on the deck. I'm kind of uncertain that was the right call. Maybe it would have been better to keep it for the high ground push. Even if they don't take it, they'll certainly get some damage out. The question is, do they commit to it? This Lifestealer is ready to rumble, and the Gyrocopter on the deck is significant.
I mean, you can try force a buyback. Unfortunately for them, there's actually quite a few counter-pushing tools that are available still to the Parkland side. They can throw out Ice Shards, they can throw out Echo Stomps, they can spam you out with the Skywrath Mage spells. But my oh my, what a place to get caught out. And how much patience did they display just waiting there in the trees? Gyrocopter comes out to farm at the literally a wrong time, wrong place, wrong time, right? Because they didn't actually have any vision there at the time. I don't think they had an observer ward.
They did seem to see him from an interesting perspective. I remember the Rubik was over here and the Gyro was on this side.
Yeah.
And he got plonked on top of the hill over here. So I feel like something must have given them vision. I don't feel like that's a straight line. So
yeah, they must have known somehow, but unfortunately, it ends up in a negative situation. And the Gyrocopter still looking for his BKB. 25 minutes in, Halberd. He wants BKB drums, then that's it. No SNY, no full halberd, no Aghanim Scepter, no Maelstrom, just these items. They need to try to find a way to activate them as soon as possible.
we have seen one of the larger issues with sides in this tournament, though, is that they do struggle a little bit to reach the high ground. Now, I think this is one of the easier ones to do from a perspective of being able to hit the towers without putting yourself at risk, because you have the long range of the silence and the serpent wards available to yourself. Of course, also just staying the lifesteal up with the likes of this potential Aegis, just tap away the tower and rage when he gets into trouble.
Yeah.
Those are all very viable options to do so, but the experience is important too. For example, lifestealers often, they rage up and then they go up onto the high ground, hit until they have enough time to walk off the high ground and rinse, repeat, to chip away at the structures. If he walks up directly, oh no. This is a perfect engagement for them. They do, in fact, do a monstrous amount of damage to powers, though, thanks to Water Spells. Zakuun is very, very powerful with that Desolator, but they don't find the kill that they need, and they're able to back off. But it could have been so much worse had perhaps Lucas been around, dropped that RP, would have totally been worth it.
And although that does cost a 10-second BKB from the Gyrocopter, he just got that, so that is a lot of money effectively down the drain. Doesn't really help him farm any faster in the downtime between its next usage. And he's going to be in a pretty rough position. And they're not done just yet. They're like, well, we know the BKB is going to be on cooldown. Let's go hunting.
They loaded up the mag as well.
And there's a smoke on the courier. They're going to make this happen. There we go.
Let's see if they can find anything. Chris is one of the better heroes to tank this gank, because you don't want to lose the likes of the Gyrocopter. Although Splitter is important, wouldn't want to see one of those two brawny guys, the Tusk or the Gyro, brought down. Looks like they are going to go in. They drop the ward. They'll know that that's there, but cleverly not engaging to the fight to de-ward it. They're just going to move themselves around. They do see the courier, but they're backstabbing beautifully. Look exactly where they are. They go and they get the RP onto two. In they come. They drop the cooldown and they delete two players immediately. And as I mentioned before, that Tusk was doing work. They drop the cooldown. UIF needs to get back up. Pops the BKB. Just really wasn't certain about exactly what's going on. Frostbite was going in potentially cover with Impale, and he just didn't like his positioning.
Yeah.
But now they are in a lot of trouble. This may be the moment for Grey as they do swarm outside the base, waiting for the creeps to catch up. But there is no reason not to go up the high ground here. They don't have an RP, but they have so much else to work with. Impale goes through. It is really nice. They drop down the Serpent Wards. In comes the Magnus.
No.
He pulls back the Skywrath deep back in his base, and UIF unable to stand up against the Serpent Wards. Powers on the back line. He'll finish off the line. Just two alive now. One of them being the Elder Titan. This may be the first tower, will be the first tower, in fact, without a doubt. But can they bring down the racks? They have 5 seconds for the Tuskers back on, and a fair amount of time to play around the supports.
Gyrocopter might
UIF
die.
gets really deep inside there. If he gets caught up by that telekinesis, he does die here. Or the skewer, but it goes wide. Right now, he will live.
But his racks will not, as they fall away, taken down by the side of Grey Gaming. And there's almost no defense that they can be mounted right now, unless they're going to try for this Hail Mary play.
They do commit a lot here into this area where the racks once stood, but they don't find what they needed. On the back lines, so they've caught out the Tusk. They want to finish the job against him, but they still bowl their control. And Zarkin managed to get the Walrus punch off, but he will fall again. And Godlike now on Powers.
Powers has not died this game at all on the Lifestealer. 10, 0, and 11. What a performance from him. Hannah Midas, Basher with the Radiance as well. AC is about to be complete. He actually has the full AC. It's coming now on the Courier. This man is absurdly farmed. Had a game in Game 9 where it was a bit rough for quite some time. Did find some very crucial kills. And in this one, just an indomitable force running at the opposing side. And they just can't do anything. We saw UIF, he tried his best. Drops down the cooldown, activates Flag Cannon. And everyone just looks at him and says, okay, bro, we'll activate the Pipe of Insight. We'll heal up using the Rage and the Feast. We'll just stay so far away with the Rubik and the Silencer that we don't take the damage. And by the time I've dropped down Mass Open Worlds, I don't really care. And I have Blink Hex on the Sheep, on the Shadow Shaman. Game looking very, very difficult. 24k gold lead. I don't think it turns around anytime soon. And unfortunately, every other hero, with the exception of the Gyrocopter, is no longer going to continue to scale.
I mean, I argue that the Tusk hypothetically can get infinitely stronger. Well, not infinitely, but significantly stronger. But it's just very unlikely that he's going to be able to find the space to actually do so. So I agree with you in general. It is going to take a monumental effort for them to find their way back into this. They do find the Rubik. They will find a kill eventually. No.
What?
Is there the rockets there? Silence going to kill it.
Does
he kill it?
Oh, big plays!
Leonard survives, and it was thanks to the Stolen Snowball. And Frostbite does not have the same opportunities to his name. He will fall down to Powers again. So it does become 1-for-1. They did lose the Shadow Shaman somewhere in that tussle. But regardless, looking very, very good right now. And I think Roshan not too far. Okay, there's a fair amount away, to be fair.
Yeah, Roshan's not going to be up for a while, but the thing is, plays like that is not only just good for evading the death, but it's really good for your team's morale and really bad for the enemy team's morale. They're like, guys, we can't kill this Rubik, seriously. One of the least net worth heroes in the game. So that was really nice what ended up happening there. I am also getting concerned about the BKB duration on the Gyrocopter. He actually went back for the SNY. How do you feel about it? I am not a fan of post 30-minute SNY.
No, I feel like it's more so desperation move. Just get any item right now. Try to drag the game out a little bit longer, because I do understand that he's not finding enough influx of farm to actually be able to save for something more significant. I don't know. Maybe one could argue something like the Mantis Cell, but once again, just trying to get to the actual Ultimate Orb. Not really likely to happen.
Yeah, Ultimate Orb is a very expensive item.
I could go on for the Ags again. I would probably felt better if he went back for the Ags, but he doesn't have the Maelstrom to help him out there. So I guess right now just trying not to lose. And this is what we often talk about, is never play Dota to not lose. Always play to win. And this does feel a little bit like you're playing not to lose.
But they've had the fear of God put in their hearts, having a really tough time being able to keep pace here. Some of these heroes are so absurdly strong. We have the Silencer with 50 stolen intelligence. Are you kidding me? He's about to hit level 20 as well. They're going to just get the quick, easy kill onto this Elder Titan in the mid lane. Got brought down without any difficulty. Lifestealer 12, 0, and 11 right now. With AC, Radiance, Basher, Midas. Hell, even this Magnus is no joke. Pipe, Shivas, and a Blink Dagger. They have everything going for them right now on the side of Grey Gaming. 29,000 gold ahead. The world is their oyster. It feels like they can just do anything, and they've got, I'd say, 6 or 7 huge mistakes. It'll be very difficult to lose a game from this point, especially considering the nature of the enemy
They didn't
heroes.
make the mistake. The silence this time was perfect. They dropped down the Serpent Wards as well. He wants to fight. He wants something, but he probably dies if he sticks around for too much longer. In comes the Zarkoon. Will manage to find the kill with the help of that Figure of Death.
Nice.
But they back off, and the RP gets a couple. They're going to skew them straight back towards the Serpent Wards. They find one. They want to try to bring down the Tusk. Yusuf comes in, trying to help them find this final kill here. But they have someone ignore the Tusk for the time being. Doesn't have the Snowball just yet. Doesn't have the Ice Shards available, or rather, the want to toss them out. In the end, it's too late. They will lose him again on the back lines. In come Powers. He wants to finish off one. He wants to finish off another. The Yules is there. It's defensive, but Chris will fall down. He drops out his ultimate as well, but that might be his last hurrah on this event. Taking a look at the buyback status. There are some buybacks coming out, in fact.
Yeah, 3 buybacks. every single one except the Skywrath Mages gets expended right now. Gyrocopter doesn't have buyback because he bought out to finish off the SNY. And they don't lose another lane of racks as a result of this push, but it does feel like it's only a matter of time right now. There's no shrines for them to collect on the side of Grey Gaming. No more Roche to take. Going to respawn quite soon. Oh, well, we'll see when it's going to respawn. But they can just going to corral them inside their base, ensure that there are no heroes from the side right now, Parkland, that feel comfortable and safe leaving the base. And you can just control the map at your leisure. They're so far ahead right now. And one of the scary things is that it really does feel like any engagement that they take, whether or not they decide to, they'll always be ahead. There just isn't any damage on the side of Parklands.
Well, it's fair to say that it would take a minor miracle now to come back in this game. And they do look like they're waiting out that Roshan. It is likely to respawn another 2 minutes. They get a fairly late respawn and may encourage them to press the attack. But right now, they do know what's happening. This could be, okay, this could backfire. They put out a scan to see if they were in Roshan, identified that they were. But now they only see the lights of this. So they won't necessarily engage. But potentially what happens is they expect the Roshan, because there was possibility of it spawning then.
Yeah.
Move towards the Roche, but end up being caught up here, coming up this particular ramp. And it is one of the worst choke points in the game. You get caught in that spot there, you are likely to fall very quickly, especially up against something like a Magnus. But still probing there. It's very clear what they want. 1:30 is likely to be the spawn time. Ruins up though, so it'll give them something to do whilst they wait this out, taking no chances.
Yeah, never take chances when it comes to trying to pick up those bounty runes. Travel across the map. Yusuf might have caught Skywrath Mage down at bottom.
So they're on. Okay, now there's a buyback. I was just saying, there's only one buyback in the game at the moment. It's for the Lifestealer, so potentially you never know what happens. But the said Lifestealer is going in on the Gyro, who pops the BKB. A nice eye shot saving them up. They didn't find any kind of disable. Like, this is that moment where you need to back off. You desperately need to back off here because they've missed some spells now. Chris has been caught out, should be brought down, and surely will. He survives a little while longer. Can they finish with the Lifestealer? The RP is fantastic again, and it's going to bring down 3. Leonard and Powers ×2 find 3 skulls. And this time around, unfortunately, there's likely to be no sting in the tail. 3 down and 3 down solid for almost a minute on 2 of them. Over a minute on 1 at least. And half a minute on that Skywrath Mage. The Serpent Wards are dropped and they go in there to pull back UIF.
Yeah,
that was his last hurrah. And I'm sure that will signify the moment for the GG. Lion blinks back and there it is. UIF calls it, and congratulations to Grey, unbeaten in this tournament, deserved winners, and I believe the first ever ASEL VS Gaming champions.
They did it, 10 games in a row without dropping a single map, and they make it to the very end of this, taking the 2-0, and wow, they look good in game 1, but did they not look absolutely dominant in game number 2? From the get-go, feels like the closeness of the last game lit a fire underneath them, and we got to see they clearly outclassed the side of Parkland right now, and showing us not just that they're capable of playing high-level Dota, but they're capable of like dominating and playing high-level Dota, executing a strategy extremely well, knowing exactly what they want to do, directing the draft in a direction which would benefit them, and then playing out that draft in a way that ensures that they get the victory. So Grey Gaming did it.
They looked fantastic from the outset, and they really had a very convincing victory here. It's going to end up for a year, in fact. So Grey Gaming will get the opportunity to be, as I said before, they are the first 5, and they're literally the first 5 from Grey, and they're the first 5 who win this tournament. And a big congratulations to them, and a big congratulations to Grey themselves for putting it together aside, for really allowing their teams or their pupils an opportunity to participate in something like this. And you know what? They've paid you in kind. They've rewarded you with a little bit of history.
Yeah, some fire Dota, some incredible Dota, and also they get rewarded with being the last team in South Africa to win the tournament before the season ends.
Hey, if you want to distill it even more than that, the last team to win simple map of Dota 2. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fantastic pleasure. I think it's finally time we can say goodbye to this year. 2019 has been beautiful, and for the season, for the competitive season, we'll see you next year. But for now, cheers and goodbye.
It is a culmination of a year-long league. These are the best of the best our country has to give.
Nice big stun coming in from Zizawi, but that is it. Only one, and that is it. I don't think there's more. And you're grand champions.
Look at this glee, look at the joy. He's finally broken the curse. The shouts of true victory.
It's mine.
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 It's mine.